The Majority Leader.
Mr. President, I move to proceed to calendar number 168, H.R. 5371.
The clerk will report the motion.
Motion to proceed to calendar number 168, H.R. 5371, an act making continuing appropriations and extensions for fiscal year 2026 and for other purposes.
Mr. President, I suggest the absence of quorum.
The clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Also Brooks.
Lose the midterms and we lose 2028, some in this room are going to prison, myself included. They're not going to stop. They are getting more and more and more radical. And we have to counter that. And what do we have to counter it with? We have to counter it with more action, more intense action, more urgency. We're burning daylight. If you look across every aspect of this, we have to codify what President Trump has done by executive order. Right? We have to codify.
So with the result of Tuesday's elections, Republicans losing horribly, top politicians, advisors on the Republican Party are freaking out. And some have gone so far as to express that they could end up in jail. Some have expressed that the president could be impeached and removed. And they realized that they don't have the control that they thought they did. Steve Bannon and other top advisors and politicians have said that they need to expedite the plan to get it done before midterms. They need to ramp up their control. But the problem is you already control the House, you control the Senate, you control the White House, the executive branch, and you have the Supreme Court on payroll. Not even an hour ago, Pete Hegseth has a press conference where he is changing the footing of our military defenses from peacetime to wartime footing for the acquisition of weaponry. I could be wrong, but I feel like this is their Hail Mary. Typically, when the country's at war, the country will stand behind the president. And I think I would not be surprised if somehow, some way, something gets ramped up and we have some type of, not necessarily a war, but a strike or some type of shit. Something worthy of the consideration of keeping him as president. And I'm saying this because we've seen the malicious compliance firsthand, on camera, live, in color. Donald Trump and his administration know they don't have the support of the military. And in order for them to pull this, whatever type of coup that they're trying to do as far as Project 2025 and turning this into an authoritarian country, You have to have the military on your side. Who in the military is going to be putting up a fight against him in the middle of a military exercise? They have an oath to listen to them. I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but hell, they're already risking lives trying not to feed people. Why not risk some lives of military enlisted? It's crazy. Yeah, wow.
I'm just an average American. But I'm an American. And some of the things I see in this country of ours make my blood boil. I see people with foreign accents making all the money. I see Negroes holding jobs that belong to me and you. Now I ask you, if we allow this thing to go on, what's going to become of us real Americans?
I've heard this kind of talk before, but I never expected to hear it in America.
We'll never be able to call this country our own until it's a country without. Without what? Yeah, without what? Without Negroes. Without alien foreigners. Without Catholics. Without Freemasons. You know these people.
What's wrong with the Masons? I'm a Mason. Hey, that fellow's talking about me.
These are the people who are trying to take over our country. Now you know them. You know what they stand for. And it's up to you and me to fight them. Fight them and destroy them before they destroy us.
Before he said Masons, you were ready to agree with him.
Well, yes, but he was talking about, what about those other people?
But in this country, we have no other people. We are American people, all of us.
What about you? You aren't American, are you?
I was born in Hungary, but now I am an American citizen. And I have seen what this kind of talk can do. I saw it in Berlin.
What were you doing there?
I was a professor at the university. I heard the same words we have heard today. But I was a fool then. I thought these were crazy people, stupid fanatics. But unfortunately, it was not so. You see, they knew that they were not strong enough to conquer a unified country. So they split Germany into small groups. They used prejudice as a practical weapon to cripple the nation. Of course, that was not easy to do. They had to work hard to do it. You see, we human beings are not born with prejudices. Always they are made for us, made by someone who wants something. Remember that when you hear this kind of talk. Somebody is going to get something out of it, and it isn't going to be
Guess
you.
who's MAGA? Yep. She read one of Trumpy's Truth Socials and said, "Reading this made me feel a deep sense of gratitude. We live in a country where we can freely worship God." What? Do you think that was not the case before? Flattering photos are allowed to be posted of me again. Thanks, POTUS. What? Life cannot just be about solving one miserable problem after another. Okay. Speak, Elon. We're listening. What? What in the Pam Bondi is this bullshit? Being a Trump supporter knowing 80% of your fan base are gay femboys is definitely a choice. I don't expect intelligent political conversation from most rappers, but was silence not an option? And no, this is not about a difference of opinion. Nobody needs your uninformed support for this maniac. This runs directly counter to the political needs of 80% of your fan base. What are you talking about?
One of the things I hear all the time is that MAGA has hijacked Christianity. They've used religious culture war issues. They've pulled on deep-seated racial resentments and utilized racial dog whistles in order to unify a voting bloc. And over these past 10 years of Trump, it has melded into a distinct, although repulsive, but a distinct MAGA subculture that has consumed most of white conservative Christianity in America. And a lot of white conservative-leaning Christians that I know feel very trapped by this because they have been so conditioned. I was so conditioned that if you even so much as voice opposition to the Republican platform, then you're not a Christian. And they use these wedge issues as weapons, literal weapons, to draw these people back in. But what they're drawing people into is looking less and less like Jesus by the day. You know, refusing to obey a court order to release food assistance, 40% of which goes to children. And this is a big part of what we address in our documentary, The Sins of Our Fathers, Race, Religion, and the Rise of Trump, because at the very core of it all, there is this 400-year-old racist root. And this may be our very last chance to repent and to pluck it up before we lose everything as a nation.
It's Joe from Georgia. Well, chaos in the Republican Party in the White House. After Tuesday's election, Republicans are starting to see the light. Now, Donald Trump is a lame duck president, folks. He can't run again. So those people who want to be reelected in the United States Congress, the Republicans, guess what? Those coattails of Donald Trump, he won't be on the ballot again. They've been cut off. So the MAGA folks, they didn't care really to show up for him, to help in this past Tuesday's election in any of the states, because it was a total Democrat tsunami. But Republicans are coming out saying, we've got to make a change. They've got to publicly disassociate themselves with the president if they want to be reelected next year, because they see the writing on the wall. So there's going to be a lot of changes here in just the next couple of weeks. You're going to see so many Republicans start to drift away from the president because they have elections to run. In less than a year is election day for them. It didn't work out well for not one person that the president endorsed this election. They all lost. So folks, there is the day of reckoning has showed up in Washington, D.C., and the Republicans, they're scrambling.
Someone who was raised MAGA, the sad reality is that a lot of white women only vote the way they do because of their husbands. And white women are a demographic of people that consistently, historically have voted against their own interests. If you are a white MAGA woman, I want to tell you right now, there's a high chance that your husband is probably cheating on you. And if he's not doing it in the physical world, he's doing it in the online space. Most people who consume OnlyFans and other content are married. And here are some messages that I have gotten in my DMs on Instagram. This guy directly says that he hates his wife and he is trying to get me to send him explicit content or whatever. I don't do that, but point being, I like to talk to these men to see what is going on in their lives and where they live. And if I can, I will try to get a hold of their wives. Can't even tell you how common of a pattern this is and how many messages I get of married MAGA men trying to get me to engage in this work with them. So if you are a woman and you voted MAGA, be careful where you place your loyalty. It's always better to think for yourself than relying on him, because look what he's doing behind me.
Here's the shebang, guys. Yes, Democrats did win on Wednesday. We won in a landslide. But here's the thing. Did you check out the margins of wins? The win is not the win is not the headline. The margins in which people went over to the Democratic Party is the headline. Immigrants, Mexicans, Asians, independents all swung the Democratic way. It has nothing to do with blue people winning in blue states. It has to do with the margins of who came over and voted in the Democratic election. Mexicans, independents, Asians. If this goes the way it's going now, and Trump keeps doing the things that he's doing, we're going to kill them again in 2026 and 2028, because people do not like what this president is doing. And the only person that likes what he's doing is the MAGA base. Everybody else can see the writing on the wall. It's cool. Keep going the same way. Keep going the same way you going. We're going to show you come 2026 and 2028 that you mess with the wrong demographic, right? You mess with the wrong demographic. You try to erase black people. You try to erase the Hispanic people. You try to erase women's rights, and we're telling you, no way. That's what that this is for. The election on Tuesday was foreboding for you guys. Foreboding for you guys, you Republicans. You better turn somewhere. We don't know where, but hey, the wave is going to come again.
MAGA, where's all your pride now that you're standing in food bank lines because your SNAP benefits have stopped? MAGA, why aren't you wearing your hats like you did on the campaign trails, preaching about how MAGA is awesome while you're now trying to take handouts from the Democrats who you've been hating on this whole time? MAGA, why are you so quick to hate the immigrants when the fact is I would rather live a short life on my feet with an immigrant than live a long life on my knees next to Mike Johnson, always having to wipe my chin because there's spray tan on it?
As I said, Darren, it's the margins that we're looking at. Blue was going to vote blue. The margins were how many people came out and voted. It was people who voted for Donald Trump the last election. All of those people besides Republican came and voted Democrat this time. That means you guys are going to get slaughtered if that happens next time. Just wow. I told y'all they come over here and start they come over here and start talking crazy and then don't listen to none of the information that we giving them. Don't listen. Look at Darren crashing out already. Crashing out already. 1 minute to say something to him and he
Why?
Problem is,
You've been hating on this whole time. MAGA, why are you so quick to hate the immigrants when the fact is I would rather live a short life on my feet with an immigrant than live a long life on my knees next to Mike Johnson, always having to wipe my chin because there's spray tan on it? Why are you standing here being a part of a system that doesn't care about you? Why is MAGA choosing to be beholden to somebody who has shown zero care for the very people that got him into office? Why is it that you are so hell-bent on believing that a 34-time felon is telling the truth, but yet good home Christians are trying to speak to you and you're denying?
Some major news. The heads of the MAGA movement are scared shitless, and that's not me exaggerating. They're admitting it. Apologies for looking like an old man, but I took out my contacts for the night. Steve Bannon at a speech today saying if we lose the midterms and we lose 2028, some in this room are going to prison, myself included. Alright, so there is both a very obvious good side to this and a very obvious bad side to this. Let's explain it. The good side of this is it confirms what a lot of us already suspected after the elections on Tuesday were a total blowout for the Democrats nationwide. We saw races in Minnesota, in Georgia, in California, in New York, in Illinois, in New Jersey, and in Virginia all swing to the Democrats without question. Political analysts are very much correct right now when they say that the elections on Tuesday were a test of whether or not Americans are willing to put up with Trump, and the result was a resounding fuck no. In addition, there were 30 Moms for Liberty elections nationwide. Every single one of them lost their election. And the reason I bring that up is because one of the main events that led to MAGA building up so much power nationwide was Moms for Liberty candidates infiltrating local positions, especially school boards. So to see every single Moms for Liberty candidate either up for election or up for re-election lose their races all at the same time is a huge warning bell. What happened on Tuesday backed up what I've been trying to tell a lot of you for most of this year. MAGA does not have anywhere near as much control as they think they do, and what control they do have is rapidly slipping. This isn't stopping evil things from happening, but this is absolutely the extinction burst of MAGA. Now, as for the bad news, this is the extinction burst of MAGA. And how an extinction burst manifests is that the ideology which is going extinct suddenly goes through an explosive and hyper-aggressive period of trying to propagate itself as aggressively and offensively as possible. This is the ideological equivalent of a rat knowing that it's in the corner and now it has nothing left to do but bite, claw, and attack as much as it can until it is dead. Which is exactly why Curtis Yarvin talked earlier about needing to flee the country, and why now people like Steve Bannon, Stephen Miller, and Tom Homan are saying we need to get all of our goals done really, really fast right now. We need to ramp up how fast we're getting these things done. What this means is that MAGA knows after the elections on Tuesday that if they do not get everything they need to done by the midterms next year, then their ideology is dead beyond saving. Which is precisely why Steve Bannon said, hey, we're going to be going to prison if we don't win the midterms. The real people who are going to be prison are people like Stephen Miller and Tom Homan and Steve Bannon, not the average MAGA voter, but they want to convince MAGA voters that they're going to be sent to prison too. MAGA has officially entered terminal fight or flight. They are going to get much more aggressive. They are going to get much more pushy about their agenda. But the flip side of that is, the more aggressive they get, the more they rush to get things done, the more mistakes they're going to make, the more lines they're going to cross. They push too hard, too fast, everyone will lash out. And I strongly suspect that if the midterms go the way that I believe they're going to go next year, we are going to see Donald Trump, Tom Homan, Steve Bannon, Steve Miller, and J.D. Vance fleeing the country, because all of them know what's coming to them the second the actual rule of law is restored.
Lose the midterms and we lose 2028, some in this room are going to prison, myself included.
While grocery shopping at Walmart in Marion, Iowa, was left with no groceries for her family when she found out at the cash register that her food stamps were not on her debit card. That kind of uncertainty has real-world impacts. The realization brought this constituent to tears, it was reported to me.
No, these are not my ideas. I'm sorry, Spencer. These are not my ideas. These are you all's ideas coming back to bite you in the ass. Has nothing to do with me. I'm just presenting the evidence. Steve Bannon said it himself. Why y'all don't believe him? I don't know. If we win the midterms and we win 2028, a lot of the people that are in the administration right now are going to go to prison. That's what y'all don't get. The shit that they are doing is illegal. You all don't understand that it's illegal. Every time you hear a Democrat say they crossed the line, they crossed they crossed the Constitution, they did X, Y, and Z, I'm not saying it. Steve Bannon. You guys act like you didn't hear what he just said. He said, if they win, let me do it again. Cause see, you don't understand. You want to say it's my idea? These ain't my ideas. I ain't said nothing to it. I ain't said nothing to it.
Lose the midterms and we lose 2028, some in this room are going to prison, myself included. They're not going to stop. They are getting more and more and more radical.
And you know why you know why we aren't going to stop? You know why the Democrats are not going to stop this time? Because look what happened this time. We stopped prosecuting Donald Trump. We waited to prosecute him. And then it was too late to really get any cases, and the cases had to be dropped. We ain't stopping with the people that are in the White House now. From here on out, we ain't taking no prisoners. We ain't taking no prisoners. Democrats ain't taking no prisoners. Just like Donald Trump keeps trying to prosecute people on our side, we ain't stopping either. We got plenty of them. Cash Patel, Bon Jovi, Gino, Noam, all of those things, okay? All of those people are going to go to prison. All of those people. No, I'm not. You know it's true. Don't be mad at me because the truth hurts. Don't be mad at me. Shit. I'm just reporting the truth. I know that they're going to go to prison. I know that they are. As long as we prosecute them, they going to prison.
And why wouldn't you go into tears? Let's just take a moment to think about how you would feel coming home empty-handed from the grocery store and the stress it inflicts on families. perhaps your kids are crying because they're hungry. Young farmers can't get their loan money from the Department of Agriculture during this government shutdown. And these young farmers are already in an ag economy that's underwater. How are they going to keep their business going? And then I don't know what percentage of the American public flies every day, but it's significant that flights are being canceled left and right because air traffic controllers aren't being paid. That means people are trying to get to a 6 family member or
You pay $1,800 a month for what? you pay $1,800 a month for what? That's what I'd like to know. $1,800 a month for what? I pay $2,000 a month in mortgage. What you pay?
million people who have families and bills to pay. Now, that's just 4 or 5 examples. Unfortunately, the list could go on.
Excuse me,
I
y'all.
often say Washington, D.C., right where we're standing now, this town and the people that are in it live and work in an island surrounded by reality. I've been begging Leader Schumer to give just 5 Democrats the go-ahead to join us in a common sense, clean funding bill. Let me.
This is where we at, y'all. This is where we are at. The Democrats shut this whole CR down. The Democrats did it. The Democrats were responsible for shutting down these negotiations because they wanted to make sure we got health care. Our health care stuff didn't go up. We got Medicaid back online. All of these things. The Democrats own the fact that they shut this government down. Democrats own that. But what I can't get past is one thing. Even though the Democrats shut it down, why is it that the Republicans went to court 2 times not to pay out food stamps? Why did the Republicans go to court 2 times so they wouldn't have to pay out food stamps? This is what I don't understand. True enough, the government got shut down by Democrats. Democrats said we ain't signing nothing. True enough. But why is it that the Republicans went to court? They went out of their way, prepared paperwork, prepared a lie, prepared a whole defense in order not to give poor people their food. Why did they do that? They did that because they don't want to give people their food stamps. They don't want to give people the Medicaid. They do not want to open the government to help people. Shut your ass up, Debbie. You didn't answer the question. I said, why would they go all the way to the court and make a defense, prepare a defense, prepare all of that just so they wouldn't give people food stamps? We own the fact that the Democrats went and they shut it down. No, y'all not going just skip over poor people. Y'all not just finna let everybody's subsidies go sky high, go away. We own that. But what we don't own is you Republicans going to the court and preparing a defense, preparing a whole lie so that you didn't have to give people food stamps. And yet and still, you didn't have a problem in the summer giving those rich people their tax cuts. You didn't have a problem with the president giving Argentina $40 billion. No, ain't no low IQ fact. Don't be mad. Come up with facts, Alpha. Don't be mad. Don't call me low IQ when I'm stating the facts. If my facts are wrong, please present the right facts. Please present the right facts, Alpha. That's the problem with you all. You don't like what you hear, so you call people names. Let's try not to call people low IQ when they're not low IQ. You're low IQ because you haven't done any research. Don't be mad at me because I presented the facts. I stated, I even conceded to you all that the Democrats shut this down. I conceded that. But the Republicans went to court 2 times with lies about money that they couldn't release, even though they made the contingency plan in the summer just for food stamps. SNAP food stamp money was done, made up, put together in July already so that they could pay out the food stamps just in case we had a shutdown. There was a fund already for that. But the Republicans went to court 2 times. 2 times not to pay out the food stamp. Now, you did it twice. Go to court once and say we can't do it. Okay, cool. But you went to the court 2 times. You went to the court 2 times saying we're not going to pay poor people out their food stamps. And yet and still, you didn't have a problem giving the rich people their tax breaks. You didn't have a problem giving a loan to Argentina, $40 billion. You got Republicans over here caping for the rich people. We own the we own it. This is now the Republican shutdown. This is now the Republican shutdown. Because you went to court 2 times and you lied to the American people saying you didn't have the money. You had the money to give to the rich people, so you got the money to give to Argentina, so you got the money to give people food stamps. That's how I know you're lying. And this is the Schumer shutdown. No, not Schumer shutdown. This is the Trump shutdown. Sorry. It is what it is.
Last night was a disaster. It was an electoral blowout. The results in New Jersey were disastrous. The results in Virginia were terrible. The results in New York, Comrade Mondami is the face of the Democrat Party. We have an actual communist jihadist. And it's important to note, Mondami is not a socialist. He is a full-on communist. He is called for seizing the means of production in our economy. He is a Marxist. That is profoundly dangerous. And look, I know there's some Republicans who are saying, well, gosh, this will be good politically because it'll be the face of the Democrat Party. I think it's terrible for America. I think, New York is the largest city in America. It is the financial capital of the world. It is the media capital of the world. And New York, we are going to see New Yorkers die.
That was Ted Cruz melting down over the election results on Tuesday. Now, to his credit, Cruz is right that New Jersey and Virginia were disastrous for the GOP. But if you're wondering why the GOP lost so badly, it probably has something to do with the gaslighting and vilifying that Ted Cruz goes on to do in this very segment, where he attacked Zoran Mamdani as a communist jihadist. The reality is that Zoran won because, unlike Ted Cruz, unlike Donald Trump, unlike Republicans, he was focused on issues that New Yorkers cared about, namely affordability. It really is that simple. And Republicans are horrified that they can no longer get away with pretending that they care about affordability.
Don't hate, Mr. Dukaka. You just mad. Take the L, reflect, and keep moving. Don't call people names. Bring proof. Bring proof. Bring proof that this is trash.
while they watch prices surge as the result of Trump's trade war, and they all collectively refuse to grow enough of a spine to stand up to him, and now they're watching Democrats run on the same issue and succeed. The only difference is that while Republicans were clearly full of shit while they peddled it in the campaign trail, Mamdani seems to have every intention in the world of actually keeping his word. In fact, I spoke with him about that exact point. Here's what he had to say.
They're terrified of the prospect of us actually delivering on the same message that they ran on, because it would show in such stark contrast what they do with power and what we do with power. Right? This is a president who ran on cheaper groceries, who's now spending $300 million to remodel a White House ballroom, the same amount of money that could give SNAP benefits to 100,000 New Yorkers. So the contrast is one that would be too great for them to bear. And that's what we have the opportunity to show, is that we don't just diagnose the affordability crisis in the lives of working class New Yorkers, we also deliver on that same crisis.
Now, I can see why Ted Cruz is so upset. God forbid someone actually looks out for working class people beyond just saying it during the campaign trail and then building themselves a $350 million ballroom instead. But Ted Cruz goes on.
But number two, look, last night should be a warning sign. It should be a warning sign to Republicans across this country. The left, they're energized, they're angry. Democrats are outraising Republicans right now, 3-1, 4-1. It is dangerous, and I think on our side, they're Republicans.
Oh my gosh. What?
That line's so goddamn long. Them motherfuckers are waiting on Moses to spread out this imaginary fucking ocean. TSA said, where my paycheck at, bitch? Not today. No way. Fuck you. Anything fucking goes. Bitch, you can walk to that motherfucker with a pew-pew, a knife, hairspray, 2 tubes of toothpaste, a large tube of hair gel. They don't give a fuck. They not throwing the motherfucking thing away. Bitch, pack that shit. Be blessed. I do not like this, and I'm not okay with this. This country is fucking in trouble, and these people have families. These people have bills. These people have fucking real life, and this is not okay. And if you think that this is okay for one fucking second, you are part of the fucking problem. Do better.
The President of the United States, the leader of your party. President Trump so far has not endorsed you, and you are the Republican nominee. So why hasn't he endorsed you in this race?
We understand what this is about. The president will make certain decisions. I've already met with him, and that's as far as I'm going to go.
Yeah, because in the other marquee race this fall, the New Jersey governor's race, the president was quick to endorse the Republican candidate there, Jack Ciattarelli. You said you've spoken to the president. What did he say to you when you asked him for his support?
Yeah, I'm not going to talk to you about things that the president and I have spoken about.
You had been critical of the president in the past. In 2022, you said this as he was gearing up for a third run for the White House. Just listen to this first. I want you to listen to this first.
Is this what you're going to keep talking about?
Well, I want you to.
I thought we were going to talk about the issues that are important to the voters. I'm talking about the education choices that parents
we can get into that. We can get to that in a second.
I thought you wanted to talk about the.
Hold on.
Yeah, but
we can talk about this. I just want you to respond. This is the president of the United States, the leader of your party.
It's important to you, but the people
hold on.
Know,
the viewers need to know what you said in the past.
See, I get it. I get why a lot of y'all are saying I didn't vote for this. You're acting like this because the first time around, the first time he was president, we still had somewhat of a functioning democracy. Those checks and balances that you've gotten so used to, that you just figured worked automatically, that did not rely on the individuals who you cast your vote for honoring that vote and truly standing up for you. You never in your wildest dreams thought that they would all get broken. But you did vote for him. You voted for him, and you want to believe that somewhere deep down, even though at no point has he shown you that he truly cares for anybody in your position in life, you just thought maybe he was gonna look out for little old me, because he feels the way I feel about people who don't look like me, people who don't live where I live, people who don't worship the way I worship. He says all the same things. He makes all the same people uncomfortable that I want to make uncomfortable. So clearly, he is going to have my back. But every day, he is showing you that he does not have your back. Every day he is showing you that you mean less to him than the people that he wants to antagonize every single day. But you can't stomach the fact that you've been had. There has to be some other reason, and it has to be fueled by the people who I have been told my entire life I should not ever agree with. It has to be them. But every time you go looking for evidence that it's them, you find out it's him. Every time you go looking for evidence that it's somebody that you don't like, you find out it's somebody from your own community. And then you go, this might actually be bad for me. Now you want to beg this man to look out for you. Now you want to say, hey, I voted for you, but I did not vote for this. Can you please do the things that I thought I was voting for? But all the people who you didn't want to listen to have been telling you this. He's not going to do it. And the people who are supporting him are not going to listen to you. And that really frustrates you, you know? That really gets under your skin. But again, you cannot take any accountability because you have to believe you made the right decision. So the only thing these people choose to do is either put their head in the sand or continue to lash out at the people they don't agree with. Because if they really had to step up to their own hero and hold him accountable, it would break their hearts.
All of the Democrats won in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. Bucks? Please. Bucks County, Pennsylvania. Democrats winning in Bucks.
How are you feeling this morning? Like, yeah, I can relate.
Look, last night was a disaster.
Last night was a total and complete disaster.
It was an electoral blowout. The results in New Jersey were disastrous. The results in Virginia were terrible.
The margins are so large, and Republicans lost across the board, everywhere, in every race. There's really no good news.
You destroyed the Republican Party for a generation.
The Republicans like to lose. They enjoy losing.
Republicans did not have a good day. So anyone who says, well, not really that, but no, it was bad.
Republicans don't know how to win. They don't know who to run. They don't know what to do when daddy's not there to fly them across the finish line.
I don't think it was good for a Republican.
The Republican Party needs to get it together. ASAP.
MAGA fever breaking. I think there's a case to be made that it is. I do. But I also, I don't want to be a buzzkill here, but I do think we need to be cautious about this, because I remember this same feeling right after January 6th when impeachment articles were offered in the Congress, and it passed the House and it went to the Senate, and there needed to be 3 more votes in the Senate to convict Donald Trump, to impeach him. And Mitch McConnell didn't do it, and for that reason we're here today. So Democrats and democracy lovers should not get too excited about this, because we've been here before where you think he's, about to be dead and comes back to life. It looks like the MAGA fever might be breaking. There actually appears to be a split in MAGA right now, and the Heritage Foundation and Tucker Carlson platforming Nick Fuentes, and half of the MAGA elite are not on board with this. Nick Fuentes is a Holocaust denier, rabid anti-Semite. So there's a true split going on there that will just further weaken Trump and his base. But some of us are having a hard time getting excited about this, because millions of us literally warned you that we would be here. Everything that's happening, we told you would happen. And we were called, alarmists and bedwetters and over the top. And everything we said turned out to be true. And there's even things that we didn't think would happen. We didn't think it would be this bad. We didn't think he would purposely tank the economy with this terrorist fiasco. But that's what's happening. And who knows why he did it, just out of sheer stupidity or out of some way to gain the markets so he and his rich friends could get rich? I don't know, but we're headed for an economic crisis. That's not just me talking out my ass. Just look at all the economic indicators and look at the people who are really smart about the economy, what they're saying, that a lot of the economic indicators are similar to what was going on before the Great Depression in the 20s, a century ago, literally. Everything's cyclical, so you could see that coming to pass. And here's the other thing that just gives me real pause, and it's hard to get fired up. The amount of damage that's been done to the Department of Justice, and with Trump ordering the prosecutions of certain people, this has never been done before in our country's history. So in firing hundreds of federal prosecutors that worked on the cases that had real evidence of severe fucking crimes against him, that those crimes got pushed aside, those cases are over, and the people that worked on those cases got fired or reassigned, and people at the FBI getting dismissed. So these things are going to have a generational effect. It's going to take a generation to repair that. So again, I don't want to rain on anybody's parade or be a buzzkill, but there really needs to be just a reality check on how much damage has been done and will continue to be done, because there's still 3 years left of this fucking nightmare. But the good news is that all the evidence points to Latino voters really running away from Trump. I mean, I guess just to see people like you, people that look like you, getting chased down in the streets by masked men with no identification and kidnapped is enough to get people to say, hey, wow. You know, hopefully that does the trick. But there's a long way to go before the midterms, where Democrats need to take control of the House and the Senate, although that's a longer shot. And then 2 years after that, where the next presidential election happens. But just a reminder that so much damage has been done that didn't need to happen if people were just paying attention. If people were paying attention a year ago, the way that they appeared to pay attention this past week.
A big loss. You can say that these states were traditionally blue, but you can also say that heading in, there was some thought that, especially in New Jersey, that Ciattarelli would do better. The spreads here are surprising. Maybe not the results, but the spreads. And if you look inside the numbers, there are some dangerous things. One, young women overwhelmingly in New Jersey and Virginia supported the Democrat based on economy, on immigration, maybe those ICE images. The affordability push by Mamdani really sticks. And that's basically inflation and how people feel about the economy. So this dichotomy between how Wall Street's doing and how big business is doing and how you feel about it at home is something Republicans really have to look at closely. But look at this spread in Virginia. It's massive.
Do you think that the young people, especially in the Mamdani race, which is fascinating to me, do you think that they were that they liked his solutions that he was putting forward, or he was the only one who was actually talking about it?
They turned out in droves. Young people
they did.
I mean, in big numbers. 18 to 39 came out for Mamdani big. You know, I think Cuomo started to close at the end because he was saying, here's the fearful things, here are the things you have to be worried about. But he was such a bad candidate at the beginning, it seemed like it was too late.
What about the two things? What about the Hispanic vote? And what about the Hispanic vote as well as the female vote going to Democrats without abortion really being front and center? For the longest time, people thought, well, that was the reason, Republicans are vulnerable because the pro-life movement, perhaps women were rallying against that. But that wasn't an issue.
No, it really seems like it's economy. It really seems like it's how they feel, groceries, shopping, and how affordability. There is some other, there's a Trump factor here. He is right to say he was not on the ballot, and when he's not, it doesn't produce the same emotion, but it does produce emotion on the other side.
That Virginia was going to do very well. I didn't think the candidate, didn't really have my support, my big support.
Is that why you didn't really endorse her?
I didn't endorse her, no, I didn't. I mean, my endorsement means a lot to me.
It was good for Republicans. I don't think it was good. I'm not sure it was good for anybody.
We just saw President Trump on camera for the first time since Democrats had major victories in Tuesday night's elections, and he was clearly frustrated this morning as he was in a room filled with Senate Republicans as the president said it's time for his party to have a talk.
And it's time to have a really good talk. But I thought we'd have a discussion after the press leaves about what last night represented and what we should do about it, and also about the shutdown and how that relates to last night.
And he railed against his party for not yet eliminating the filibuster to bring the government shutdown to an end. As the Senate Majority Leader John Thune was seated just a few feet away from the president, he stood at a lectern inside the state dining room here at the White House and called on his party to eliminate the filibuster today.
It's time for Republicans to do what they have to do, and that's terminate the filibuster. It's the only way you can do it. And if you don't terminate the filibuster, you'll be in bad shape.
That is something that John Thune has said he does not believe there are the votes for in the Senate, and that many of those Republican senators who were in that room say they do not feel is the right next step here. However, the president said that he believes if Republicans don't eliminate the filibuster, then Senate Democrats will take the opportunity to do so the next time they're in the majority. The president called on his party to pass several different kinds of legislation, including when it comes to requiring voter ID in elections, and railed against Democrats, likening them to kamikazes and saying that he does not believe just because Tuesday's elections are over that they are going to be willing to end this government shutdown.
Mr. President, you sound very frustrated by last night's election.
He didn't take shouted questions at the end as he was about to sit in there and have that talk he said Republicans needed to have.
Yeah, the whole point is when you have a shellacking like that, you need to self-reflect. You need to self-reflect. And this is where we're at. Are they self-reflecting? Donald Trump done did so much damage. Donald Trump has done so much damage. And people don't seem to, MAGA is never going to admit that. But you just have to look at the fighting that has been going on in the Republican Party on the side of Republicans, right? You've got Nick Fuentes, Candace Owens, and you got maybe Tucker Carlson, maybe I don't know who on one side. Then you have other people on the other side. You have a fracture of the party, like 3 different sides. Wonder why? Because the message that Donald Trump is putting out there isn't working. It doesn't work. Nobody likes that hate. See, people kept looking at me or saying to me, why do you keep calling people zombies and you keep doing that? Because most of the people are not thinking for themselves. You have to start thinking for yourself. You cannot listen to the garbage. I have people come in here and automatically say I'm lying about stuff. I say, show me proof that I'm lying. Show me proof that what they say is the truth. What they didn't say is the truth. He didn't endorse the black Republican because she's a black female. That's why he didn't endorse her, okay? He didn't endorse her because of that. It just is what it is. We all know that. You endorsed everybody else. Why didn't you endorse her? She was saying that same goo-goo la-la that y'all always say, that most Republicans say. We don't like the trans. We don't like the gays. We don't like the XYZ. We don't like the immigrants. And she was saying all of that stuff. Just how people say it in these comment sections. And y'all don't understand that shit sounds weird as hell. When you hear people screaming about not liking trans and gays and immigrants and all that. That sounds really, really off. Okay? Really, really off. And she was doing that. I went to her website and saw her give the speech. She sounded really, really off. Okay? So my thing is this. You can't sound really, really off and then expect people to follow you. She sounded off. Okay? But then again, there's other ones that sounded off too, right? So what we're saying is you forgot which is something I have been saying to you for a while. Nobody gives a damn about the gay trans, immigrant. Nobody gives a damn about those issues. When there's no more food on the table, when people need food stamps, when people need bills paid, nobody gives a damn about immigrants or anything else. So when you get out there and you start talking about immigrants and gays and trans, you're going to lose the election, especially if the person that you're running against is talking about stuff that you really, really care about. Food prices, gas prices, all of those things, wages. We need to start talking to people, our leaders, the people that we elected. We need to start talking to them about changing the minimum wage, trying to figure out how food can be more affordable. And I get it. Food is somebody else owns all of that, but they need to do something. Okay? You need to do something. And that was the going message that all of those people had Tuesday night. Food prices, affordability, accountability. We need to get gas prices down. We need to get housing down. We need to get food down. And most of the other candidates were talking about, oh, do you want your child to go to a bathroom and there's a man in there? I get that people care about that, but that's not going to move our country forward. We're trying to move our country forward. And talking about gays and trans and immigrants is not going to move our country forward. Nobody's life has changed. Nobody, I guarantee you, nobody that is here, their life has changed for the better or worse since Donald Trump started deporting people. I bet you your life hasn't changed one bit. It hasn't affected your life or your money or the food stamp prices or the gas prices or anything else. It hasn't changed your life one bit. So why the hell are we worried about some gays, trans, or immigrants? We have bigger fish to fry. You all please hit the like and the share button, subscribe button, please and we over here talking about fact. Yes. And the whole point is we need to get on the same page because we know that the people in Washington only care about rich people. We know that. So we need to get our poor people on time. Don't come over here caping for rich people. When I mean cape for rich people, I mean don't come over here talking about lazy people need to get off their ass and get a job. That's caping for rich people. To me, that's caping for rich people. Okay? We are supposed to be trying to get us a candidate that works for us, not a candidate that works for the rich. A candidate that works for us. Okay? And they're trying to say, oh, okay, well, we don't want to do X, Y, and Z. Okay. You don't want to help us out? No, then we're going to start voting you guys out. The first set of people that need to be voted out are all of these people that let Donald Trump do what he wanted to do. All of these people that allowed Donald Trump to do what he did or do all the things that he wanted to do.
And this murder Charlie Kirk right here in Utah. I'm so freaking pissed right now. This is bullshit. I love that guy. He would have been our next president.
President Trump, if you see this, please save us. This is America. This is our land.
This is Ariana Grande. Used to be one of my favorite artists. If she hates America, I hate her.
Any last words, Chrissy?
Say bye to your career. Bye.
You motherfucking animals! Why? Because you didn't agree with his politics? Because you ideology? That's the reason why he deserves to die! You fucking animals!
Donald Trump, if you can hear us, please, Donald Trump, please save me. Please save me, Donald Trump, please. I'm asking you.
The thing about this post-election day is watching the MAGA crash outs. And it's more so the fact that all the MAGA people are out here confusing fascism and communism, And meanwhile, Mamdani is a democratic socialist, and they clearly don't know the difference. And then there's the whole thing that like 99.9% of these people do not live in New York City, probably have never visited there, or maybe went there like once or twice. And they're like, no, it's such a hellhole, and now it's gonna get even worse because of communism. No, fascism. I don't know the definitions of words.
Finally said the quiet part out loud. To a room full of criminals, he laid it bare. If Democrats win in the 2026 midterms and the general election in 2028, he and his cronies are going to prison. It's a confession. It is an admission that they have known all along that they are not political operatives. They are a criminal enterprise that has been breaking law after law after law and counting on power to be their get out of jail free cards. What we are witnessing is the extinction burst of MAGA. I saw a creator this morning who put it perfectly. These people are going to ramp up every crazy antic that they have left. They are hemorrhaging followers. Their agenda is wildly unpopular, but they do not care. They're not trying to win over anyone new. Their entire mission is Project 2025, a blueprint for authoritarian rule. They will stop at nothing to see it through. They will continue to find new, creative, and dangerous ways to destroy democracy because they are no longer interested in gaining new followers. That's why Dumpty, after a feeble attempt to pretend he cared about affordability, immediately said, fuck that, because it's a lie. He cares about 4 things and 4 things only. Number 1, keeping the JE files buried to protect himself and his pedophile buddies. Number 2, protecting himself from the mountain of legal consequences he deserves. Number 3, enriching himself and his criminal family. And lastly, remaining loyal to Bibi Yahoo and Putin. That's their entire agenda. That's it. But here's some hope. The MAGA bubble is about to pop. Dumpty himself is on the cusp of collapse. We are watching daily a man in precipitous, rapid decline. His health is failing. His mental clarity, gone. He falls asleep during his own events, including his own military parade. This is happening more and more. He rambles on about tangents that have nothing to do of what was asked by reporters. He rage posts all night long while he's sundowning, and his brain, ailed, which is clearly by dementia, cannot absorb new relevant information. That's why he's always reverting to talking about 2020, Biden, Obama, some fictional glorious past. It's all his dying mind can cling to. So hang on, everyone. The fight is not over. They're going to be more dangerous now than ever. But I think for the first time in a very long time, we can remain cautiously optimistic that this will come to an end. We can start to see the horizon. And on that horizon is the promise of legal and karmic recourse for every single person in this criminal regime. Their time is running out. Let's make sure we're the ones that turn the clock.
I find it hilarious that y'all motherfuckers, especially the MAGA, be tripping and caring too much shit about Zoran Mamdani, aka the new mayor-elect of New York, being a democratic socialist. However, y'all motherfuckers ain't tripping about the president of the United States being a fucking fascist, a racist, a xenophobic, a homophobic, a sexual predator, a rapist, a convicted felon, and a fucking pedophile. All of those are exactly what Andrew Cuomo himself is. And yet somehow 41% of New Yorkers are okay with it and voted for fucking Andrew Cuomo. Wow.
The United States is already a democratic socialist country. Socialism is already here and everybody benefits from it every single day. So next time you hear an uneducated MAGA person scream and yell about socialism, ask them if they've ever heard of a police department. That's a socialist program. Fire department, socialism. Small Business Administration that hands out business loans so small businesses can compete, socialism. Medicare and Medicaid, socialist programs. The Social Security program, socialism. FHA loans so people can afford mortgages, socialism. The K through 12 public education system, socialist. State-run colleges, socialist. The program that builds roads and bridges and fills potholes and makes sidewalks, socialism. Garbage collection, socialism. United States Postal Service, socialism. When you get unemployment benefits when you lose your job from the state, socialism. What are you guys talking about? Socialism is all over the place, and we're working just fine with it. As a matter of fact, without it, how many people would be screwed? Without your unemployment benefits right now, you would be screwed. Without the SNAP program, we're already seeing that a lot of people are screwed. That's all socialism. There's nothing wrong with democratic socialist programs. Mamdani in New York City just wants to make sure everybody can afford groceries and can ride public transportation so they can get to work to continue to contribute to our economy. Relax. Relax. Socialism is okay. It's already here. Calm down.
Dude, the amount of angry maggots who have been blasting my DMs for the last week is fucking gold. Like, they'll say something and then quickly block me. You're a liberal lunatic, blocked. You're fat and ugly, eat a salad, blocked. Like, bro, I ran 3 miles yesterday. Have you ever done that? And you know what I say to them every single time? Okay, have a nice day. They fucking hate that shit, bro.
Mad. They're so fucking pissed because now they can't villainize an entire population unless it's their own. That's why they're so upset, because they played the victim and then realized that they were the villains. But their cognitive dissonance doesn't allow for that. So now they're just gonna implode.
The Republicans are losing their minds. Okay, I'm reporting live from the United States of Embarrassment, and I have your breaking good news now. There has been a lot on social media, mainly a lot of vocal opinions about what they voted for and that they're upset with their vote. Yeah, so now they are trying to find ways to alleviate the brunt force that is what happens when you support the Dollar Tree dictator, okay? And it's like, okay, it's too late now. You telling me this is what I've always known. So why does it matter now? Now, see, this is why it matters, is because a lot of the things that are happening right now definitely affects them. Healthcare, food stamps, welfare. It is prevalent in that community. And so what do we do now? Well, now the Republicans that are also in the legislative branches are starting to turn away from the commands of the Dollar Tree dictator. He told them that they had to stay this weekend and in the filibuster. You can't leave. He told them that they could not leave this weekend. They had to stay in D.C. They left. The Republicans said, oh, no, we're leaving. Thank you, though. But no thanks. And so just sit back and relax, guys. That's all I'm saying. And as always, I will be available to provide you with breaking good news to outweigh the bad. Bye, guys.
That's right. Exactly.
Okay, what's that? What can you show me to prove that the borders are closed?
The numbers are down. How about that?
Right, so people can't cross in and out? The borders are closed?
Only legal ones. Exactly.
Oh, so we have no undocumented people crossing over?
We have no more caravans. We have no more Venezuelans coming by the thousands.
Oh, another person that just hates the Venezuelans.
By the thousands.
Right, so you have no idea what asylum
That's
seeking
right.
is, right?
I know you don't like. I know you don't like it, liberal. I know that you don't like it, but those are the facts.
Listen, buddy, don't crash out. We just started this conversation, buddy. Don't crash out so early.
Up, liberals.
Oh,
Latinos
that was
for
crazy.
Trump.
It took 1 minute. It took 1 minute for the crash out.
Trump. You know what I do when I'm bored? I watch deportations. I love it. I order my pizza and I watch deportations. Keep on crying. Keep on doing your thing. Trump's still your president. Ranting and raging doesn't matter. Trump's still your president.
Thank you so much for the gift. Appreciate it.
And MAGA continues after that.
I'm going to let him crash out in silence. Hopefully, when he's done crashing out, he wants to have a proper conversation. Chat, that took 1 minute. I mentioned Venezuelans and he.
That's how it happens here. You said they come in the door. You guys come in the door talking about libertards. Instead of self-reflecting, you come in the door calling people names. That's wild. It only take 1 minute to trigger you guys. Maybe you need to figure out why you get triggered every time somebody says your orange thug is trash or his whole program is trash. Maybe you need to figure out why y'all crash out. What the hell is going on? Why do you crash out when we tell you his shit is trash. But it is what it is. We got to keep going. We just got to keep going. And I hate it. But I'm going to play this one more thing again. Let me play it. This person would not be saying this if it did not have a little truth to it.
Lose the midterms and we lose 2028, some in this room are going to prison, myself included.
Some of us are going to prison, myself included. Why would that political operative, that particular person, say some people are going to prison, myself included? I wonder why. Because we understand that this president has done illegal things. You guys do know that he signs more executive orders. Executive orders don't replace law, right? He can't just rule by executive orders and all of it be legal. I hope y'all know that, right? That's what this guy is saying.
They're not going to stop. They are getting more and more and more radical. We lose the midterms and we lose 2028, some in this room are going to prison, myself included.
He's saying that because he knows that some of the stuff that the president has been doing is illegal. He knows it's illegal. And the Democrats ain't going to stop. We're going to put them in jail. We ain't going to let it go this time. Because y'all took our country down a dangerous path. Okay? Because you took us down this dangerous path, we ain't gonna let you forget. We're gonna start putting y'all in jail from day one. I hope we win the midterms. I hope we win the midterm and we take the Senate over. Because if we take the Senate over and we pick up those seats, oh yes, we are definitely going to prosecute and impeach this president. That's right, Famous. We gave them a chance. We gave you Republicans a chance. We gave you MAGA people the chance to do the right thing. To do the right thing by the people. And you went down a path that nobody wanted. You started wars. You started throwing people out of the country. And don't get me wrong. Everybody wants some immigration reform. But what we didn't vote for was you dragging people out of their car, dragging people out of hearings, dragging people out of birthday parties, dragging people out of their house, dragging people out of their car, putting people in cages, sending them to other countries, sending them out of the country, all for something that is an infraction that would be comparable to a jaywalking ticket. I'm not downgrading immigration, but you had no business doing it the way that you did it. Okay? You had no business doing it the way you did. We all wanted immigration reform. We all wanted some kind of immigration reform. What we didn't anticipate was you to ramp up ICE and started kicking people out the country and sending them to other countries. We didn't anticipate you trying to circumvent the 14th Amendment. Okay? We didn't anticipate you getting in power and started erasing museums, statues, the White House, tearing down the White House. We didn't anticipate you doing all of those things. You did too much. And the MAGAs and the Republicans stood by and let you do it. For the people who stood by and let him do it, you can go to jail too, right along with him. Personally, I don't think he's going to last this whole 4 years, but that's just me. Okay? But all of that immunity that he had, all of the immunity that he had doesn't cover the rest of his crew. It doesn't cover the rest of that his every person that he worked with. It doesn't cover those people.
Lose the midterms and we lose 2028. Some in this room are going to prison, myself included. They're not going to stop. They are getting more and more and more radical. And we have to counter that. And what do we have to counter it with? We have to counter it with more action, more intense action, more urgency. We're burning daylight.
I didn't say that. That is one of the team. That is one of the Republicans, high Republicans up in the Trump administration. He's saying if the Republicans and MAGA lose 2026 and 2028, lose the White House, some of them are going to prison. And you should. And a lot of them should. But see, when greed and power catch a hold of you, certain things are not illegal to you. Certain things don't occur to you to be illegal. Okay? All of those things that you hear about Donald Trump doing, those things are done by executive order. Those are not done by Congress, which means they might be illegal. And we're saying as Democrats, we ain't letting it go because we need to have an understanding about how our country is supposed to be run. Our country is supposed to be run not through a dictatorship, not through what's going on right now, but a democracy where you're supposed to present what you want to do as the president to Congress and then let Congress make the decision. Tariffs have never been what the president is supposed to develop. Tariffs are always supposed to be done by Congress. This president decided that he was going to bypass Congress and write an EO, an executive order. He can't do that. That's illegal. That's the problem. The president has done illegal acts. He has said, let's do these illegal acts. And people have hurried to carry out his bidding. And those people who have hurried to carry out his bidding are going to go to jail. This is what Steve Bannon is saying. All of those people that have done Donald Trump's bidding are going to go to jail.
Lose the midterms and we lose 2028. Some in this room are going to prison, myself included.
He's not playing. These are facts. This is a Trump administration person. He's saying, we fucked up, but we need to keep these people out of power because otherwise we're going to go to jail. It's too late. Listen to the facts.
Xi of China decided to send a message to the people of the United States, and the message was loud and clear. Your president is an idiot. Xi humiliated Trump not just once, but twice. And Trump being Trump, he was too stupid to even notice. I'm going to show two clips because, in point of fact, what Xi did was two different things. Tear away at the myth of Trump and expose him as a liar. Either of these are humiliating enough, but to do both in one visit, that is just an abject trouncing and shows that when it comes to dealing with powerful leaders, Trump and his clown car cabinet are way, way out of their league. And here's the other tactical element of what Xi did. He humiliated Trump on neutral ground. It's one thing to exert the upper hand when you're on your home turf, where you can control everything about staging and choreography. But to play Trump like a yo-yo on a string on foreign ground, that is what real power looks like. So watch the first time Xi humiliates Trump and pay close attention to their facial expressions. Talk about power differential.
Hello, everyone.
Mr. President, the President of the People's Republic of China.
Good to meet you. Great pleasure to see you again.
Good to see you again.
Me too.
And we're going to have a very successful meeting, I have no doubt. But he's a very tough negotiator. That's not good.
Don't do that. Don't come in the door and you don't have any proof of what you're saying. Don't do that. Okay? Samuelson, don't do that. Okay? Don't come in here saying we're wrong and we're just presenting the facts. Don't come in there and do that. You and your feelings. Get out of your feelings. Your feelings are even the world knows that your president is doing trash shit. Don't do that. Don't come over here and say you're brainwashed. You don't see any other side but your own. You're the one that's brainwashed. It's called being a zombie. Okay?
We know each other well.
Mr. President, do you plan to sign a trade deal today?
Could be. I think we'll have a great understanding. We have a great relationship. We've always had a great relationship.
I'm just presenting evidence, Samuel. It's up to you to decipher the truth. That's the whole point. Decipher the truth. I don't know what you listen to, but you're not presenting facts. You're just in here talking about we're bullshitting. That's the problem. Zombie people. Just zombie people.
Wow, Trump looks like the 8th grade water boy running up to the senior defensive end during the post-victory press conference and saying, but I really helped win the game, right? I mean, without that water at key moments, you guys would have been cooked. And note Xi's body language and facial expression. It all says one thing. I don't even remotely respect you. Xi refuses to engage or acknowledge Trump, letting the whole world know that the myth of Trump as some powerful negotiator or great respected leader is just a ridiculous fallacy. That Trump doesn't even belong on the same stage as Xi. Meanwhile, Trump is desperate but clueless. And if that's not humiliating enough, Xi found a moment to just call Trump out as being a liar. And not just any moment, but during negotiations. So in the most serious part of the whole meeting, of the whole trip, Xi reduces Trump to a little grade school boy caught telling fibs.
Loves the poorly educated. He said so himself. I mean, it'd be interesting if you could show me that. Isn't it funny that you use a quote to try to prove a point, but yet you actually prove the opposite point, that you're the poorly educated one and that you do absolutely zero research whatsoever? See, Snopes even fact-checked that false, because that's not what Donald Trump did or said. But yet you couldn't even pick up that device sitting in your fucking hand and do a half a second's worth of research to go listen to the speech yourself.
Hi, Beardy. Is this the speech that you're talking about?
We won with poorly educated. I love the poorly educated.
You know, Beardy, it's absolutely adorable the way you guys project your deepest insecurities onto other people. But unlike you, I did do half a second's worth of research. And guess what I found, Beardy? Turns out that the clip that we all just watched is real. The quote is true. I don't know who told you that Snopes said that this quote was false. I'm guessing you heard that from some other poorly educated person. And Beardy, I understand why Trump supporters are mad all the time. Not only are you guys embarrassingly wrong about literally everything, but also I can't imagine the lack of self-respect that someone must have for themselves to continually fall for Trump's bullshit over and over again. Beardy, whether it's locking up Hillary Clinton or a big beautiful golden wall or $5,000 Doge checks or free IVF or tariff rebate checks, no matter the fake promise that Trump makes to his fans, you guys fall for it every single time. And that is why Trump says that he loves the poorly educated, because frankly, without an army of uneducated people sitting in their car ranting about shit that they've never looked into, he would not be standing where he is right now. And Trump knows this. Trump knows that smart people don't like him. Another real quote. Sorry, Beardy. Trump knows this, and that's why he's so thankful to his uneducated fans. Anyway, Beardy, if I were you, I would take your own advice and try doing half a second's worth of research before you run out to your car and open up that bird's nest and start squawking. Okay? Or keep talking. Keep embarrassing yourself. Either way. Either way. All right, Beardy, till next time. Good luck.
All of us who could see the truth and the agenda We knew that this would happen. And as sad as it is, it has to happen this way for people to finally wake up and snap out of it. I'm starting to see videos like the one I'm about to share now, just a snippet of Trump supporters who now regret their decision because they see, they are feeling and experiencing just how real the repercussions are, just how real the consequences are of their choices.
This is so crazy that we voted for Trump. We trust him with the word that he promised us Latinos. This is crazy that starting next week, multiple cities will be hitting immigration. That is so crazy that multiple people are scared to go to work. When I work at, a lot of Latinos did not go to work, and that's crazy because we have a living too.
That video was really sad to watch, but this has to happen this way because there are people in life that you will see that you keep telling them things over and over and over again, and they just don't see it. And it's not until they suffer a devastating blow that they finally understand that you were right and they should have listened. It has to be tragic. It has to be heartbreaking. It has to be devastating because that is what it takes for people to wake up and pay attention, because this is what happens when you choose to continuously ignore the truth that's right in front of you. This is what happens. And I pray for everyone affected, everyone involved, and no one can say that they won't be affected. We just had immigration pull up in a restaurant in Newark, New Jersey, and not just go after 3 undocumented people in that restaurant, but also citizens. They were racially profiled for looking like undocumented workers, and because they looked Hispanic, therefore that means by default they're all undocumented, they're all criminals, they're all guilty. But amongst them was a United States Puerto Rican veteran. And I'm sure a lot of you have seen this news and different videos by different people being spread all across social media because it was disgusting. And people don't realize that these decisions that the clown in the White House is making, these executive orders concerning immigration, even those uppity Latinos that voted for Trump that said, well, that's not me, that's them, I'm not like them. Guess what? You just might find yourself in a situation where you are targeted and you end up being detained or you end up being taken into custody and you have to prove who you are. You may just end up getting humiliated. But the reality is that when people come together under a strong delusion to put a clown like Donald Trump in the White House in power, these are the things that take place. People are not understanding like how deep and how spiritual all of this is. Trump and his administration, they're going after people's futures. That's what people are not seeing. They want to completely change the entire dynamic of this nation by deporting as many people as possible amongst the Latino population, and by keeping as many people as possible from coming over so that they can start to bring up their numbers so that we will be back to being a minority. They're coming after future Sonia Sotomayors. They're coming after future AOCs. They're coming for it. That is what they are coming for. People need to pay attention. People need to wake up, snap out of it. You have a group of people that completely missed it. And where you thought you were safe, you're going to find out that you're not. Because at the end of the day, racist, white supremacists, they do not care how white adjacent you are or how white you think you are or how rich and wealthy and uppity you think you are, how more important or valuable you think you are. Pay attention to the agenda because it's real. Pay attention. I'm praying for everybody who's being affected by this right now because everybody really does need prayer. But I need people to pay attention and recognize that if you're in a position where you are now afraid of your situation and what this executive order means for you and you voted for Trump, you need to feel all of this. You need to go through this. And you need to pray that you can get through. And you need to pray for everyone else that's affected, that's in your situation. Because you contributed. Praying for everybody to wake up. Because people need to realize the agenda is real. Take care.
¿Cómo les va a los cubanos por Trump? ¿Cómo les va con su papá? Déjenme mostrarles cómo es que les está yendo a todos ustedes. Roll the tape.
Desde que llegó a este país, lo único que ha hecho ha sido trabajar y trabajar como un bolo. Como un bolo, eso es una injusticia. Una injusticia, una grande injusticia. Esto no tiene palabras. Porque todos saben, nosotros somos cubanos. Y venimos a este país en busca de mejorar las vidas.
Todos saben que somos cubanos, que venimos buscando una mejor vida. Y ven acá, las demás nacionalidades no vienen a buscar una mejor vida. Ven lo egoísta que son ustedes. Ustedes nunca contaron con que se paga en la tierra y nadie se va sin pagar la cuenta. Todo el daño que ustedes hicieron, ya sea con su voto o con la lengua, los que no tienen papeles apoyados.
That's the problem with you, that's the problem with you, Stephen. That's the problem with you, Stephen. The president isn't following the law. That's the problem. That's the problem. He's not following the law.
Todos saben que somos cubanos, que venimos buscando una mejor vida. Y ven acá, las demás nacionalidades no vienen a buscar una mejor vida. Ven lo egoísta que son ustedes.
Half of y'all don't even know liberals. But liberals are evil, are they? Why is it exactly that you got rejected Tuesday night? Why is it that the spreads are so bad? The spreads are so bad. Okay? The voting was so uneven. Sure, people that in blue states would win because they're blue states. But why was the spread so bad? The spread was so bad because they are rejecting everything that goes along with you MAGA people. They're rejecting everything.
This group where they invited several Latinos. All these Latinos voted for Trump, and they stated that they regret their votes for Trump because of the economy and mass deportations, which was Trump. Trump was really transparent on these particular issues. He'd been running on border security for over half a decade. He'd been running on tariffs and who could use which bathroom and who could play in whose sports. So there's no possible way you could really have voters remorse when Trump was completely transparent. I just find it interesting that this study comes out after Trump took funding from this grant for Hispanics and redirected those funds to HBCUs. This is very telling, and they go on and say that if it was a do-over, they still wouldn't vote for Kamala. They'll vote for a third party or stay home. How Mano say it? Hi, haters. Remember that song?
Republicans in next year's midterm elections in a recent focus group that a political strategist convened of entirely Latino Trump voters. Every single one said they regretted their vote. So think about that for a second. Focus group of Latino Trump voters. President Trump made huge gains with the Latino community. One of the reasons why he won 2024 in such a fashion as he did, Every single Latino Trump voter said they regretted their vote. And it's not rocket science as to why. President Trump his immigration policy has been incoherent, inhumane, targeting Latino communities, racial profiling, people who look like they're part of the Latino community, going into a Home Depot parking lot and apprehending people based on the language they speak or where they are. And then in terms of other issues, right? President Trump has not delivered on his economic promises. We know that 99% of people's incomes are decreasing under the big, beautiful budget bill. The Latino communities are not receiving benefits. Many of them are receiving cuts like other groups in the big, beautiful budget bill. Trump's tariffs are wreaking havoc on the economy. So if every single one of these Latino Trump voters regrets their vote, and a significant portion of the Latino Trump voters vote Democrat, not only are Democrats going to win the House, I think we're going to win 40 to 50 seats next year.
To go through something like this behind bars. He has lived in Florida for more than half his life and worked for the same construction job for many decades. Every day that goes without him here is a day lost forever. This is about being human, about love, connection, and presence. The one thing he needs the most is the one thing that we're being kept from giving him, which is us. I feel that it would be immoral and inhumane to let a man who is suffering, who is terminally ill.
Mondamini is not a communist. Y'all goofy as hell. He's a democratic socialist. That's not a communist. Why do y'all keep saying that? Y'all need to educate yourselves. This is wild. You got Donald Trump is right. Half y'all just dumb. Half y'all just dumb. The spread was so bad. The spread was so bad on Tuesday night. The spread was so bad. Then they don't want what you want. The bulk of the country believes what the Democrats want what the Democrats want. The majority of the country wants to go with what the Democrats want to do. They don't want to go with what you Republicans want to do. That's the problem. You got to accept that.
Spend what little time he has left in pain and isolation. Please don't let him die in a cell. Please don't let his final memories be of those of pain and isolation. The American flag stands for compassion, kindness, liberty, and justice for all. We're all human, and today I'm asking for one human act of compassion to please let my dad come home.
Even downrate, we flipped stuff we wasn't even supposed to flip, Samuelson. We flipped a whole bunch of stuff we wasn't supposed to flip, and the margins were wild. The margins were so outrageous. Just don't worry about it. Just sit back and be the zombie that you always are. Put your head in the sand. Do that. Put your head in the sand, Samuel.
When I voted for Trump, I supported the very system that allows this kind of cruelty to happen. I've spent the last few days reflecting, and I feel like I came through some sort of revelation. I questioned my beliefs, my choices.
These are just people who are saying sentiments and saying what they want to say. The results are, you can't beat the results. I'm sorry, Samuel. You can't beat the results. You can't beat the results. Everybody has been the No King rallies, the people on TikTok saying this is wrong, the voting going the way it did on Tuesday. You can't beat the results. I'm sorry.
And my role in all of it. My vote wasn't just a mistake. It was the ultimate betrayal of the very people that I come from. I feel like living in South Florida, surrounded by Republican voices, I was brainwashed into
There's plenty of places where they have gone to court and told him, you do recognize that he's trying to rule from EO, right? You do know that EOs don't replace regular laws, right? So when he does something by EO, it could be against the law. 9 times out of 10, it could be against the law. Let's take, for example, the latest thing. The latest thing of him shooting boats out of water without due process of law. Shooting down boats in international waters against the law. Making up whatever you want to make up so you can do it. That alone should say that alone should make it treasonous. That's what y'all don't get. You can't just do whatever you want to do. You can't just blow ships out of the water and say, oh, they're coming to bring drugs to my shore. And you don't show us any drugs. And you don't show us that they actually were the aggressor. That's the whole point. The whole point is you haven't done anything. The president hasn't shown any proof. He hasn't shown any proof for what he's saying about drugs coming into the country from Venezuela. And it's not about the drugs. It's about him trying to overthrow that government. It's about him trying to intimidate Maduro, trying to intimidate him, to run him out of the country. You don't get to blow up ships in the middle of international waters and call it justified because you came up with an answer. You don't have any proof to what you're saying, which means you're breaking a law. You're going against the Constitution. You need to be held up to, you need to be accountable for what you're doing. Okay? You don't get to blow up ships without due process, Samuel. What part of due process don't you get? If you're an American, you should know that everyone has to do due process. They have to be proven against criminal before they get, before a verdict comes along. That's wild. You don't get to shoot boats out of waters without due process. That's the point. That's against the law. It doesn't matter whether Maduro is corrupt or not. That's their country. That's not our country. You don't get to do that without due process. You don't get to take people out of the country because they're illegal and take them to another country and drop them into another prison out of a country they don't even belong in. They don't get to do that. What the hell is wrong with you? We don't know whether drugs were coming here or not. Tammy, we don't know that. Where's the proof? Prove it. No, that's all we got to say. Prove it. Prove that those boats were bringing drugs here. And you know how you can't prove it? You can't prove it because the boats were blown up. They were blown to smithereens. But what we do know is 2 people who survived a boat attack said, we were just regular fishermen. We don't understand why we got blown up. You don't just get to believe whatever you want to believe because the president says it. He has to show proof. That's what's called due process of law. They didn't show no drugs were floating on the water. They never showed that. Just making up what you want to make up. Just making up what you want to make up. It doesn't matter whether and the problem is it doesn't matter whether there were drugs in the water or not. You still don't get to blow up ships because you say they have drugs on them. They're supposed to be brought before a court and proved to be lying and proved to have drugs on the boat. That's wild. Y'all just zombies. Just going against the law and the Constitution because he says so. You're a zombie. What the hell? Blowing up shit. That's wild. That's what I keep. So now it doesn't matter whether drugs were in the water or not. You can't prove it. Where are the pictures that said there's drugs in the water? And every boat that he blew up was a drug boat. Everyone showed drugs in the water after the boat blew up. Every one of them, Tammy. Just wild. Just a zombie. It don't matter whether drugs were in the water or not. You have to have proof that they're drug dealers. They didn't have proof. That's against the law. It's against the law. You can't just blow up ships. That's one way in which he has broken the law. You all keep saying, how did Donald Trump break the law? He broke the law right there. When he sent that Garcia guy over to that Venezuelan prison, he broke the law there. What are you talking about? Man, y'all be on that zombie shit. He got a 39% approval. Yes, because the rest of us can't stand his ass. Because we know he's breaking the law. What do you mean? Famous, that's exactly the right percentage that he's approval rating. His approval rating is underwater, under 40%. His approval rating. You're wild. You're wild. Just dumb. Just a zombie. That's wild. Every show has shown that his approval rating is 40% or under. We all know that. Don't engage with Samuel because Samuel don't want to get his own receipts.
Thinking I was one of them. I fell for the propaganda, the normalization of cruelty, and I believed the lies that gave me a false sense of security and belonging. I was convinced that voting for Trump was for the economy or against crime, when in reality I was supporting a man and a movement that dehumanizes people. He basically built his platform on targeting immigrants, spreading hate, and
Samuel, anybody can go on any website and look up polling for Donald Trump and find out that his poll numbers are 40 or below. Anybody, you can do that. Simple Google. Just do your simple Google work. Stop asking us to come up with ratings against your goofy president. That's all you got to do is Google and you'll find out what his ratings are. Okay? We don't need to do that for you. You could do that for yourself.
pushing policies that ultimately broke families apart. I regret my vote so deeply, and if I could go back and change it, I would. I'm reading, listening, learning, and unlearning everything that I thought I knew. And to anyone who is feeling the same regret as I am, I want you guys to know that there's still a way for us to move forward, but it starts with honesty first. To every single person who has been affected by the choice that I made, I am so sorry. A lot of you aren't going to forgive me, and I'm really not expecting anyone to, but I just want everyone to know that I'm going to move forward with more compassion, continue educating myself, and fight for those who can't fight for themselves.
The only thing that I hear from Trump supporters, they're like, I regret it. I thought everybody else was gonna be fucked, but now I am too.
Literally, bro, like, I didn't even think he was gonna be this bad, you know. I didn't think he was gonna just deport innocent people, dude. Like, literally, he said he was only gonna go after gang members and, you know, dangerous criminals. How did my parents get here? They crossed the border. What's a tariff? A tariff is like kind of like a tax, but like we don't pay for that. Don't worry, China's gonna pay for that, and Mexico, not me though, not me. Yes, I did see that the stock market was crashing, dude, but you have to understand, like, dude, literally it gets worse before it gets better. I promise. Like, it gets worse before it gets better. Yeah, you know, I graduated and I wanted to work for the government, dude, but I don't know, like, they took away my offer because Trump's, like, Doge cuts and stuff and Elon Musk, you know, but it's okay. Maybe I'm not meant to work in the government, you know. Maybe I'll be, you know, I'll be okay. I'll find another job. You have to understand that tariffs won't really affect us as long as you buy, like, American products, you know. My coffee is from Guatemala. I do get snacks from the Latino grocery store, yes. You know, that's nothing that I can replace with, you know, chai tea. Oh, chai tea's from India. Cheetos. Cheetos is American.
I can empathize and sympathize with the black community. I've never been able to do that before because I would hear them say things like, oh, you know, we walk down the street and we get profiled and, you know, cops will just suddenly stop and frisk or whatever just because of the color of their skin. And I always thought, like, you know, it's a little bit of a stretch. It feels like a little bit of a stretch. That person must be doing something, right? And obviously I've never experienced that before. I've never felt that way before and stuff. And so I always thought, like, ignorantly, by the way, on my part, thinking like, I think you guys are, because I'm brown, I've never felt that and stuff like that. I'm also a minority. But now, with us, it wasn't the cops. Cops aren't just randomly to go and check in the past. But now it's our turn, right? Now we feel it. Now we feel like, crap, can I just go down the street? Do I need my paper? It's like, why are you stopping me? I'm a U.S. citizen. We're not doing anything wrong. And now we're being persecuted. And so now I'm thinking like, crap, this is what the black community meant, and I kind of feel bad. Well, I feel bad because I never really could understand where they were coming from or where you guys were coming from. But I can assure you that now that it's here with us too, it's like, crap. I honestly, legitimately didn't think it was real. But it's real as hell. And it's obviously minority groups that are targeted and persecuted pretty much. And it's right now with us is because we're brown. You guys have had your turn when, cops were just in bigger cities, urban areas, stopping disproportionately, the black community and stuff. And I just want to say, like, I guess now I understand. I think moving forward, there's going to be a little bit more unity because we now can see where you guys are coming from. Well, at least I can, And so, yeah, guys, I just want to say sorry for being ignorant before, but I hope this unites all communities, not just minorities, and call out things for what they are, regardless of the race.
There's a couple of members of my family that had voted differently. I've had conversations with them that they made a mistake. They feel betrayed.
What do they actually say?
It's hard for me to listen to them because I tell them this is exactly what he said he was going to do and what we said he would do, and they just didn't believe it. And they thought, well, it can't happen to us. It's a selfish worldview that, it's not going to impact them, but it will impact others. At the end of the day, I'm glad that every day more Latinos, Latinas are waking up that supported Trump and realizing they made a mistake and that Donald Trump lied and that they did not understand that this was actually going to be his plan all along.
Do you feel like they'll shift their votes?
I think a lot of them will. I hope that they've realized that the modern Republican Party is not the party of Ronald Reagan that gave amnesty and a pathway to citizenship to so many families, including mine. This is a warped, dark, incredibly cruel MAGA party that wants nothing to do with immigrant families and will not support the Latino community.
Guys, I'm a Latina who voted for Trump, and I am so sorry. Like, this is some real bullshit going on. I didn't know I was gonna go through all of this. Like, hell, I just work nearly 40 hours, and it's only been 3 days of the week. I was told I was going to be home with no rights. I was told I was going to be home with my fine-ass husband, trying to have his babies, and that was it. Why the fuck did I just have to work almost 40 hours in 3 days? I take my vote back. I take it back. I wish I could go back in time and just vote for Kakala.
So I'm looking at some tea right here, the exit polls for the Prop 50 proposition. I'm really focused on the Latino vote right here. After all we've seen happening with ICE in California, we should be on the level with the black voters, guys. ¿Qué estamos haciendo? ¿Qué es esta vergüenza? ¿Todavía estamos con esas payasadas? And this is all across the board. I was looking at other races, and it's like 60-something% Latino voted for Democrats. And guys, by the midterms, we need to do better. We need to do better. This is not okay.
The midterms and we lose 2028, some in this room are going to prison, myself included. They're not going to stop. They're getting more and more and more radical. And we have to counter that. And what do we have to counter it with? We have to counter it with more action.
Samuel, if you think the black community is behind Trump, then you're goofy. Then you are hella goofy. If you believe the black 82% black men voted for Donald Trump, no, voted for Kamala. That meant about 16% or less voted for Trump. 92% black women voted for Kamala. That meant about 6% of the women voted for Trump. Ain't nobody coming over there to Trump's side. Ain't nobody coming over there. What do you think about what he just said? Say it again, my friend.
We lose the midterms and we lose 2028. Some in this room are going to prison, myself included.
Why would that man, who is a top aide in the Trump regime, say, if we lose the midterms and we lose 2028, we're going to prison? Why would he say that? Why would he need to say that? It comes on tonight at 6 o'clock, Tahilism. Tonight at 6 o'clock. Why would he say that, Samuel? I would love to know why you thought he would say that. Okay? If he didn't think they were doing anything illegal, why would he need to say that? He said that because he understands that they're doing illegal things. Samuelson. He understands that they're doing illegal things. Why would one of the top people in the Trump regime, why would he say that? He said, let me play it again for you, so maybe you didn't understand what he said. Samuelson, I want Samuelson to answer, why do you think a top why would you think a top aide to the president would say this?
We lose the midterms and we lose 2028. Some in this room are going to prison, myself included. They're not going to stop. They are getting more and more and more radical.
Why do you think he said that? I need Samuelson to answer that. Why do you think a top aide in the Trump administration said if they lose the election, they're going to prison? Why would he say that? Is it because he knows that you're doing things that are illegal? Why would he say that? I'd like to know. I got to know what you think he meant by that. What did you mean? Let me play it again.
We lose the midterms and we lose 2028. Some in this room are going to prison, myself included.
Some of these people are going to prison. Nah. Stop talking about Democrats. We want to know why you think this man says that you're going to prison. That most of you people who work in the administration, Trump administration, are going to prison. Please explain to us what he meant by that. What does he mean by that then, Tammy? Come on, you one of those zombies too. Why don't you tell us what he meant by that? What does he mean? Or you going to be disingenuous? You're going to be disingenuous just like Sammy. That's the guy on your side. He is a guy on, oh, yes, he is. He is definitely a MAGA. He is definitely a MAGA. All day, twice on Sunday. Steve Bannon is definitely a MAGA. And he's an aide in the administration house, the administration White House. Yes, the hell he is. He has the president's ear. Why did he say, wait a minute, let me play it for y'all again, because for the goofies in the back.
We lose the midterms and we lose 2028. Some in this room are going to prison, myself included.
Why is it that he said some of y'all in the room, me included, are going to prison? Why? Why did he say that? Why? Why? I wonder why. Because you fucking know, because you zombies know your president has been doing shit illegally. You can't rule the country by EO. He already girl, stop. Stop it. Girl, stop it. Stop it.
Of Fallujah, Marines have stood their ground. They have led from the front
We black
with
voters,
no expectation.
we black voters are done. We done with Trump. We done with Trump. Samuelson, we done with Trump. We just done with him. You still haven't answered, Samuelson. You still haven't answered. You still haven't answered. Neither you nor Tammy have come up with an answer. Why did your top MAGA guy say that if they lose, they going to prison? Top MAGA guy. Come on. I give you a minute. I give you a minute to come up with the answer.
Very character.
We'll give you a minute to come up with the answer. We'd love to hear what the answer is.
During
Y'all hit the like button, please, and thank you. We had contests on the weekend. We have this kind of content on the weekend. We love to hear the the arguments from the MAGA people. Obviously, you're not paying much attention. What do you mean paying much attention? I just heard him say that. I'm asking you, what does he mean by that? What does the head of your MAGA crowd mean when he says him and a whole bunch of other people in that administration are going to prison? Please explain. No. Don't give us that bullshit. Don't get y'all you see Tammy and Sam can't come up with no answer. See, he can't come up with no answer. They can't come up with no answer. They don't want to come up with no answer. That man said that statement this week. It don't matter whether he got a position. He still said him and other people are going. What did he do? What did they do to make it seem as though they're going to prison? That's what we want to know. This is what the people that ain't MAGA, we want to understand what your MAGA leader is talking about. We want to know what he's talking about. He said some of them people going to prison. What does he mean? We'll give y'all a few minutes to come up with the answer. Can't come up with the answer, can y'all? You don't want to admit that what's going on is going on. You're going to lose badly, Sam.
Spouses, children, parents.
Badly.
They serve quietly, often without any recognition, but always with deep devotion. Their strength sustains the core, those families and friends and loved ones. Their sacrifices, too, must be honored. Mr. President, the 250th anniversary is not only a celebration.
Y'all have to accept that y'all got goofy shit going on in this administration. Hiding the Epstein files, doing illegal shit. This is what he mean. I was still waiting for Sam and Tammy to come up with why did Bannon say they going to prison. I want to know why he said he going to prison.
Corps' legacy matters, not just in history books, but in the daily defense of our democracy and our ideals. The world has never been more dangerous.
That's sad.
And more in need.
That's sad, Samuel, that you think that. It's sad. Even before y'all got started, we were in the majority. Before we even had Donald Trump around us, we were in the majority. You know why? You know why Donald Trump, people soured on Donald Trump so fast? Is because people forgot that he was a shitty president in 2017 to 2020. They forgot that he was a shitty president then. And immediately, within 5 months, they realized why he was a shitty president. And that's when the No King rally started. That's when the No King rally started. Motherfucker. Man, we got all these young motherfuckers voting who don't know jack shit about Donald Trump. Now they souring on his ass for real, for real. The damn Mexicans and the Hispanic, all of them is souring on his ass for real, for real. The independents forgot. They forgot he was an asshole. They forgot he was doing things against the law. Now it's coming into fruition. We are the majority. We are the Democrats ain't the majority. Democrats ain't the majority. The independents are the ones who decide elections. And the independents are running away from Trump in droves. In droves. We're not the majority, but the independents are going to make the decision about this. The independents are going to make the decision. We're not radical. That's the problem. Y'all keep calling us radical, and we keep telling you we everyday normal, everyday Americans. You don't see nobody else in their administration talking about going to jail, do you? That's your side. That's your side.
Of that service. As we look to the next 250 years of the greatest nation in the history of the world, let's ensure that our policies, our resources, our commitments match the trust we place in all of our military, including our United States Marines. We need to provide our Marines and our military men and women with the tools and the resources they need to fight and win, and the care they deserve when they return home. It's about the rhetoric.
Lose the midterms and we lose 2028, some in this room are going to prison, myself included.
We want to know what y'all don't know. We want to know what Steve Bannon know. We want to know what the rest of them people in the White House know. We know for sure Stephen Miller going to prison. We know for sure. Wait a minute, let's play it again. Let's see it again.
We lose the midterms and we lose 2028, some in this room are going to prison, myself included.
I'm trying to figure out what does he mean? We going to prison. What does he mean? Huh? What did you do that would put you in prison, my friend? What did you do? What did the rest of the people do that would put y'all in prison? Wow. It don't matter whether he's in the administration. He didn't say he was in the administration. I said he was in the administration. So maybe I misspoke. But he's still a MAGA. So why did this MAGA dude say him and other people are going to prison? Let's just take it out of him being a Trump aide. Let's take him out of the Trump White House. Let's just take him out of there. Why did he say some of you Trumpsters, some of you MAGA people are going to go to prison? Why did he say that? We just want to know. Us curious minds want to know. Why did he say some of y'all are going to prison? If we win all the elections, if Democrats win all of the elections, why are y'all going to prison? Why are some of you MAGA people going to prison?
The midterms and we lose 2028, some in this room are going to prison, myself included.
Why would he say that? We want to know. We just want to know. I ain't saying nothing else. I'm just trying to figure shit out. But Samuel and Tammy ain't got nothing to say. They ain't got nothing to say. They don't know. We don't know. He don't belong to the Trump administration. Okay, he don't belong to the Trump administration. So what does he mean, though? Y'all going to prison. What did y'all do?
By one of America's most remarkable institutions. And that happens tomorrow on November 10th, our birthday.
He's not a Democrat, Paulie Palmer. He's not a Democrat. He's a Republican. He's a MAGA. Why is it he's a MAGA cult leader? Why is the MAGA cult leader saying some of them are going to prison, him included? Why is he saying that? We'd like to know. Regular people would like to know. You maggots act like you don't know. Why?
Happy birthday. We also are kind of proud of the fact that we're the only military service that was founded in a bar. Yes, that's true. Tun Tavern, Philadelphia, PA, was where the Marine Corps was founded. And at our birthday celebrations, we do a lot. They're great celebrations. If you haven't been to one, anyone watching, I encourage you to go to a Marine Corps birthday ball. You will have the time of your life. You will come away filled with a sense of patriotism and pride, whether you served in the military, in the Marine Corps, or not. You will love it. At these birthday celebrations, we, of course, as Senator Blumenthal mentioned, remember our fallen. We recommit ourselves to keep the Marines the world's finest fighting force, which it is and has been for decades. And we take time to recognize not just the Marines present, but in particular, the oldest and youngest Marines present. We have a very solemn cake cutting ceremony. In fact, after the birthday cake is cut with the Menluk sword, the guest of honor presents the first piece of cake to the oldest Marine present, and then he...
Samuel, what does him saying the left is getting radical have to do with him going to prison? What does that mean? He just said because they're getting radical. What does that mean? That he's going to go to prison. What does that mean? I just need you to answer those words. Him saying he and people in the room are going to prison. What does that mean?
I was very honored and set to be there as the guest of honor last night. This is an Alaska Marine Corps ball. We have such a great time. I've been going to that ball for years with my wife, my daughters, friends, fellow Marines. And alas, given the work that we're doing here in the Senate to reopen the government, I was not able to attend. A huge disappointment for me. Really, really wanted to be in Alaska with my fellow Marines and my family. There was also another Marine Corps ball, Mr. President, last night. It was actually in D.C. here, the Commandant's Ball. And at the last minute, I thought, hey, if I can't be in Anchorage, I'm going to at least celebrate the 250th with the Commandant, some top generals, top enlisted Marines, a couple of my Senate colleagues, Senator Ernst, Senator Daines, the Vice President.
Hit the like, share, subscribe button. Hit the like, share, and subscribe button. We appreciate it. We have this content on Saturday and Sunday. You have no answers at all. Sad you think you do. I'm out of here. I can't stand people that can't think. Yeah, we really don't like people who don't know how to talk for them. We really don't like people who know how to think for themselves. They still never answered the question, y'all. They still never answered the question. What did their top MAGA dude mean when he said, if we win the elections, if Democrats win the elections, that they're going to go to prison? Why? Are we going to find something that they did illegal that would make them have to go to prison? Obviously.
Standing ovation for this great American hero. What a moment. Finally, Mr. President, at every Marine Corps birthday ball throughout the world for the last 100 years, this message that I'm going to read right now is read. It's the message delivered to the Marines on the birthday of the Marine Corps by the Commandant of the Marine Corps, the 13th Commandant of the Marine Corps, General Jean Lejeune, in 1921. And he issued this statement, this message, and ever since then, since 1921, every single Marine Corps birthday celebration for over 100 years has been read, has had this proclamation read. It was read last night in Anchorage. It was read last night in D.C. And for the Marine Corps balls today and tomorrow on November 10th, it'll be read there. And here's what it says, Mr. President. Remember, this is from 1921.
Amen.
But it kind of gives you the sense of how we feel about our illustrious Corps. A message from the Commandant of the Marine Corps, republished in the United States Marine Corps Manual, edition 1921. On November 10th, 1775.
Hold on. We got to do it one more time. We got to do it one more time, y'all, because I don't understand. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. This.
The midterms and we lose 2028. Some in this room are going to prison, myself included. They're not going to stop. They are getting more and more and more radical.
What does that more and more and more radical have to do with why they're going to go to prison? He said, let me play it for people in the back again. What did he say?
We lose the midterms and we lose 2028. Some in this room are going to prison, myself included.
What does he mean? I'm still waiting for a Republican to explain to me, what does he mean by that? It has nothing to do with whether they're going to be radical or not. No, he didn't answer the question. He never answered the question. Because we already know what the answer is. He's lying when he answers the question. Okay? The answer to the question, seeing as how the MAGAs don't want to answer the question is, Bannon knows that what they're doing is illegal. He knows the things that they're doing behind the scenes are illegal. Your president is not fully up or abreast of the things that they're doing behind his back. That's why we know that they're going to go to prison. They are doing things because you can look at when people ask, reporters ask Donald Trump X, Y, and Z. Sometimes he has no idea about what the reporter is asking him. Sometimes he doesn't even know. When they asked him about this latest pardon, he had no idea about this latest pardon of this Asian dude. They had no clue. He had no clue. So these people are doing things behind his back in his name, and he's just signing the executive orders, and he is asking them to do or to execute what he puts into place. And some of the things they're doing are illegal in the way that they are doing it. That's what he's talking about. He knows that some of the things that they have done are illegal. I don't work for nobody. I don't go into my job and work in my job and do what I'm supposed to do with my job. And then when I get out of my job, I turn around and say, oh, if the other company comes in and takes over, I'm going to go to prison. If the other company comes in and takes over from what I was doing, I'm going to prison. Nobody says that unless they know they have done illegal things on their job. That's the answer, but they don't want to answer. They don't want to say that. That is a top MAGA official saying, if the Democrats win the election, we are going to go to prison. And the only way for you to go to prison is because you've done something illegal to go to prison for. That was simple. Let me play it again for the goofies in the back. Let me play it again for the maggots in the back. This is your top guy, one of your top guys.
We lose the midterms and we lose 2028. Some in this room are going to prison, myself included.
Because he knows they're doing illegal things behind the president's back, and the president has immunity. And so they're doing it under his name. But they're the ones who are going to be caught up with executing it. That's why they're going to jail. That's why they're going to go to prison.
And the Senate will proceed.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent the resolution be agreed to, the Blumenthal amendment to the preamble, which is at the desk, be considered and agreed to, the preamble as amended be agreed to, and that the motion to reconsider be considered made and laid upon the table with no intervening action or debate.
Is there objection? Without objection.
Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor.
Sorry about that. Hold on. Uno momento. Uno momento.
Well, election day happened. I don't think it could have gone worse, actually. And I feel quite sick about it, and here's what I learned. Low propensity voters do not turn out. Since 2016, do not turn out for elections where Trump is not on the ballot. And that is a problem because he will not be on the ballot again. 2, Charlie Kirk is a genius, and we would not have won in 2024 without him and his genius that was Chase the Vote with Turning Point Action. So we must figure this out for 2026. We must figure it out. There is no other option. I can't believe New York elected a communist. Like I'm shook. Virginia elected an AG that jokes about killing Republicans' kids. I just, wow.
Oh, I've been waiting for this. Oh boy, I've been waiting for this. What's up, Mitch?
Check back in with Maria Salazar. She's a Cuban American, a U.S. Congresswoman from Florida, a Trumper, supporting Trump in 2024. Here's what she said after he won the election.
This is a realignment. It's a realization by the Hispanics that the new home is the Republican Party.
A year later, and we've all seen Trump's policies, ICE rounding up undocumented migrants, some who have been here for decades, paying taxes, raising children, retired. She's got to change her tune.
Hispanics married President Trump. They're only dating the GOP. I've been warning it. If the GOP does not deliver, we will lose the Hispanic vote all over the country. And unfortunately, it happened last night. In New Jersey and Virginia, Hispanics moved back more than 25 points to the Democratic Party.
I told a couple of members of my family that had voted differently. I've had conversations with them that they'd made a mistake. They feel betrayed.
What did they actually say?
It's hard for me to listen to them because I tell them this is exactly what he said he was going to do and what we said he would do, and they just didn't believe it. And they thought, well, it can't happen to us. It's a selfish worldview that, it's not going to impact them, but it will impact others. At the end of the day, I'm glad that every day more Latinos, Latinas are waking up that supported Trump and realizing they made a mistake and that Donald Trump lied and that they did not understand that this was actually going to be his plan all along.
Do you feel like they'll shift their votes?
I think a lot of them will. I hope that they've realized that the modern Republican Party is not the party of Ronald Reagan that gave amnesty and a pathway to citizenship to so many families, including mine. This is a warped, dark, incredibly cruel MAGA party that wants nothing to do with immigrant families and will not support the Latino community.
You guys forget your red hats today? Come on, man. Yeah, real fun. Just checking. We know. It's cold. Leave us alone. All right. We'll get inside soon.
MAGAs are like the dodo bird, refusing to evolve while the world around them changes. Clinging to outdated beliefs, they risk extinction, unable to adapt to the demands of a new era. At this rate, their survival in the modern world becomes increasingly uncertain.
Why did I witness multiple non-citizens be able to vote in Arizona's election today, November 4th, 2025, at one of the Maricopa voting polls? So I was at one of the Maricopa County voting polls today because I always vote in person. Y'all, I've never really trusted the whole mail-in system. There's so much corruption that can happen with that. So I went to go and vote in person. There was multiple things I witnessed and multiple things that one of the issues I had is that I was given the wrong ballot. So when I gave them my name, because I realized I was sitting forever waiting for my ballot, I told them my last name and they're like, oh, well, is this your first name? And it wasn't. It was another name. I said, no, my name is Amanda. And then they had realized that they had mixed it up. They gave my name, my ballot, to another person with the same last name as me. So not only did they have to try to find this ballot and get it null and void, but they had to make me a whole new ballot and I had to wait forever. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how often does this happen? Then as I was waiting there for my ballot to come out for me to be able to vote, I witnessed multiple people, you guys, that did not have passports, did not have driver's licenses, but yet they were still given a provisional ballot. There were also multiple people that just had various issues. They were also given provisional ballot. And in case you don't know what a provisional ballot is, a provisional ballot is basically a ballot that when they can't quite confirm your citizenship or your ability to vote, or there's some issue with your address or something, and so they give you a provisional ballot that still allows you to vote, and then they say that they're going to look over your ballot once it enters the system to make sure that you were eligible, and then they'll count your vote or not. I'm sorry, but why are people given ballots if they don't have an ID and they cannot prove who they are fully? Why is this even happening? Elections in general, but especially Arizona elections, need to be reformed, you guys. If you're still delusional, thinking that everything's fine and that there's not fraud in elections, are you kidding?
To see this video of a Trump supporter walking around Walmart celebrating the fact that it's practically empty because low-income families can't afford food.
See something crazy? And we in prime time. It's like 7:30 Thursday night. Where is all the foolishness?
And of course, they had to bring race into this, saying all we had to do to shop in peace without black people ruining everything was cut their EBT. That's disgusting. Notice how there's no economic argument there, no policy decision, no concerns about budgets or fraud or anything else. They're saying the goal wasn't to save tax dollars, but rather ensure that certain people can't shop. Imagine being so cruel that you're celebrating the fact stores are empty because families can't afford groceries. That's not a win. That's not order. That's not peace. That is hunger. Kids are having to go without food right now, and parents are skipping meals just so they can feed their kids. But MAGA has the audacity to celebrate all of that as if it's some sort of win. They want billionaires to get tax cuts while working families go hungry. What is wrong with them? They make fun of people in poverty, they mock hunger, they treat suffering as if it's entertainment. Of course, as long as they can convince themselves that the people who are hurting deserve it. Maybe I'm a radical socialist, but I would much rather my tax dollars be spent on feeding hungry kids than buying a billionaire another yacht.
Politicians across the country opened their phones this morning and their jaws hit the ground. Not because of last night's election, but because they opened their weather app and it said there was a Category 5 shitstorm approaching. First thing I was watching in last night's elections was the Hispanic vote, because as you know, the partisan redistricting effort that Trump has forced across the country is not carried out based on Republican vote margins. It was based on Trump vote margins. Specifically in Texas, the 5 new seats they think they can win because of Trump, they would have gone for Trump in 2024, but not in 2020 and not for any other Republican. But what happens when Trump is not on the ballot, but the people carrying out his agenda are? Passaic County in New Jersey tells us. In 2020, Trump won only 41% of votes in this county. In 2024, he won the county with 50% of the vote. This is the most Hispanic county in New Jersey. But now, the Republican candidate for governor received only 42% of the vote, trailing Trump's margin by 8 full points only 12 months later. The story is the same in Virginia. Manassas and Manassas Park are the 2 most Hispanic counties in the state, and those 2 counties shifted 16 and 22 points to the left, respectively, again after only 12 months. Now you might say, sure, but candidates matter, to which I would respond, yes, exactly. Trump isn't on the ballot. He won't be on the ballot in 2026, and he sure as shit won't be on the ballot in 2028, which brings me to my second takeaway. This election was a shot over the bow for every Republican, considering if they're going to continue to do Trump's bidding after seeing up to 22-point swings to the left when they maybe only won their last election by 10 or 11 points. And it's a message to every rising star who views themselves as the future of the Republican Party, because midterms are already hard enough when you're the party in power. But now that they see that anyone with political aspirations is walking into a buzzsaw, they'll say, no thank you, and wait until the tide changes so a blue tsunami doesn't chuck them directly into the rocks. Lastly, I'm going to try to be as kind as possible when I say this, but for everyone who's done videos or sent comments like, we're never going to have free and fair elections again, I hope you're pleased to see that not only are elections intact, but they delivered quick, clear, and decisive victories for the left. Because remember, elections are run by the states, and states are full of people, just like you and me, just like everyone who voted last night. Most importantly, people who understand that Trump is failing. The only thing standing between him and the landfill are free and fair elections.
I keep hearing everybody freak out about SNAP benefits getting cut, and I seriously don't get it. Like, why is this the hill to die on? If you're able-bodied, get up and go to work. That's what I do every single day. It is not that complicated. Instead of stressing over a couple dollars in food stamps, maybe try...
Hey, y'all. Come look at this. This is a food bank somewhere in White Folk, Nebraska. And what y'all notice? First of all, that line longer than a motherfucker, boy. And there ain't nine nigga in that line. They don't show this shit on the news right here. Look at all them goddamn hungry white folk. I wonder which way they voted. They probably didn't want to wear their MAGA hats. It ain't time to rally for Trump. Right now it's time to rally up something to eat. Who y'all think they blame for this? Boy, I bet there's some hell of a goddamn information going on in those lines. Out of all those white folk out there, how many of them do y'all think use wash rags? But for real, this just shows that we all hurting, man. All that narrative about single mama, Tyrone this, Tyrone that. When there's so many people that use SNAP benefits from different walks of life that really need that help, man. And that's the part we're not really showing. And this right here show you. Look at them. Look at all those white folk. I don't know where it's at. Probably somewhere in Wisconsin.
It's already extremely fishy that Elon Musk endorsed Cuomo for mayor of New York City. But now the Republicans, MAGA, and Elon Musk are saying that the voting is fraudulent and the election is rigged, even though we don't have results from anywhere. Elon Musk took to Twitter and said that Zohran Mamdani's name is on the ballot twice, therefore the election has to be rigged. And this is a sentiment that has been shared and reposted several thousand times. In New York has almost 0% voter fraud, and your ID is not required because the information that's provided on the voter ballot, if it doesn't match, you can't vote. Besides that, Zohran Mamdani is on there twice because multiple parties can nominate the same person or list the same person on the ballot. He's there for the Democratic, and he's there for the working women's or women's families ballot, whatever it's called, ballot. You can see it here in this picture. That is not fraud because Trump was listed twice in 2024 when he was nominated for president on the Conservative and Republican Party. You see how this works? Fighting hard for Cuomo. I said if Cuomo wins, he's going to do the same thing he did for Trump, where Trump was so certain that the election ballots were going to work in his favor and this election may be rigged.
And then he journeyed to Pennsylvania, where he spent like a month and a half campaigning for me in Pennsylvania. And he's a popular guy, and he was very effective. And he knows those computers better than anybody, all those computers, those vote counting computers. And we ended up winning Pennsylvania like in a landslide. So it was.
Stay tuned because, like I said, if Cuomo wins, guys, we can probably agree there was some funny business afoot here because I feel like they're prepping us for it already. Because what do you mean the election's rigged? Because the name is listed twice and the election's still going on.
I'm going to prove to you that it's a MAGA Trump shutdown and that the Democrats have nothing to do with this shutdown whatsoever. See, for the first time, the very first time in all of the history of the United States of America, a reconciliation bill is being passed off as a continuing resolution. So let me explain, because this is exactly how Donald Trump and the evangelical Christians are conning America. See, a reconciliation bill is when Congress debates spending. That's when they debate how much to fund SNAP, how much to fund Medicaid, or ICE, for example. A continuing resolution, or a CR, is supposed to do one thing and one thing only: continue the current budget until the next agreement. That's why it's called a continuing resolution. We're continuing what we've already resolved to do. There's no cuts in continuing resolutions. There's no new rules in continuing resolutions. It's just time. We're going to extend this budget for 6 months, whatever it is. So when Republicans call this a clean CR, they're literally lying to you, because what's actually in this is a reconciliation negotiation. This is a reconciliation bill, not a CR. It rolls back SNAP to 2022 levels. Again, CRs don't change the budget. Only reconciliation bills do. It reduced the Medicaid funding, forcing states to either kick people off or raise taxes to cover the gap. Again, reconciliation. And billions are shifted to Donald Trump's personal army of ICE agents. Again, that's a reconciliation bill, not a continuing budget. That's rewriting the budget and then weaponizing it. Since CRs were created, this has literally never happened. Never before has a president used a continuing resolution to permanently rewrite domestic spending. This is the Trump MAGA shutdown. It's a manufactured crisis meant to hurt working Americans right before the holidays and flood the headlines with chaos. Democrats should have forced this fight back in March. Totally agree there. But instead, they decided to trust a bunch of lying Christians that never intended to negotiate in good faith over the summer like they said they would. See, because when one side changes the rules mid-game, i.e. the MAGA, just to make Americans suffer, that's not budgeting. That's literally sabotaging. And that's what Donald Trump and the Republicans are doing.
You know that I have a MAGA Talk account. What is that? A lot of you know that I have a MAGA Talk account, and I get on there typically when big things happen and I want to see what is being discussed. And this time, obviously, the election happened, the results came in. I waited a couple days. I wanted to get a good amount, a good cross section of what they're talking about. And they're talking about two things. First off, they're still talking about Charlie Kirk. I'll get to him in a second. They're still talking about Candace Owens. I'll get to her in a second. And they're talking about Zohran Mamdani. Instead of talking about any of the victories that actually happened and discussing what they need to do to change, or, you know, their messaging and stuff like that, they will give like a one-liner like blue states had blue elections and blue people won, and that's it. And then they're done. That is the whole conversation over on MAGA Talk. Mamdani, on the other hand, really pissed them off, and I think we understand why. There are people over on MAGA Talk that are making fun of the PR, his PR team, and the way that he addresses concerns and stuff like that. They are talking about how they're going to change FAFO to Are You New Yorking again, making it out like New York messed up so bad and they just don't see it yet. Racial things being said about him and stuff like that. So Mamdani is like one of the key things, obviously, as I expected. Now, when it comes to Charlie Kirk, this guy, I'm not going to say his name because I don't want to promote any following. He already has a shit ton more followers than I do. He has like 635,000. He is one of the main voices that if you're on MAGA Talk, you see this guy pop into your feed the way that, you know, people watching this might see Good Trouble or some other creating cult lady, for example. This dude shows up the way that they show up. Okay. So when he's saying something, this isn't just somebody that has like 0 followers or whatever making it. He's talking about how the right is being divided, and the reason why he left the left is because of the lack of tolerance, which I actually understand that. I disagree with 99% of what this guy says because it is some of the most ignorant ChatGPT takes that I've ever seen. But when he talks about the left not being tolerant of other people and the purity testing and stuff like that, I've even made videos calling people out for that shit. But he has talked about since the death of Charlie Kirk, he's noticed a huge division on the right. And again, this dude has over 500,000 followers. So when he makes it, when something has gotten his attention, you know that it's being talked about enough that he feels that talking about it is going to trend, or it's going to get a lot of views, comments, and stuff like that. So they're talking about how the right is divided because of the death of Charlie Kirk, and also Candace Owens, which I said I would talk about. Now, Candace Owens has been on a rampage, and people on the right don't really know how to handle it because they're used to being able to look at the right as being completely cohesive and understanding who they are, and when they see somebody on the right, they know that they just need to follow them. But since the death of Charlie Kirk and the rampage that Candace Owens has been on, people on the right are actually starting to support her and not liking what other people say about her that are also on the right because of they're racist. The thing that they don't understand is they don't like Candace Owens because she's black, but prior to that, she was one of the good ones. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure people have heard that term before. Now that she's not one of the good ones, she's just some black lady making these statements. And so there's the racist side of the right that is now divided against on Candace Owens. Also funny because he made comments about being divided on EBT, but prior to that, he made a video where he specifically was making fun of people losing their food stamps, losing their EBT. But now that the reality is set in that there's a lot of Republicans on EBT, you could put up all the fucking graphs you want and say, oh, well, if you do per capita, yeah, there's still Republicans on EBT. It doesn't erase the fact that there are people that voted for Trump on EBT not getting their food stamps. You know, it doesn't erase the fact that just because you can put up a graph and say that this demographic or that demographic uses it more, that other people aren't still using it. And now they're starting to realize that, and shit's hitting the fan there too. So there's a lot of fracturing happening right now on the right, on MAGA Talk, and a lot of people are growing more and more.
You all hit the like button, subscribe button, please and thank you. We have this content on the weekend, you know, politics, gossip. We have the whole 9. Please hit the like button, subscribe button, please and thank you.
more concerned about a divide growing in the Republican Party ever since the death of Charlie Kirk, the rise of the criticisms of Candace Owens, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Trump literally just fucking
I've been
up.
talking about the topic of toxic masculinity for a while here, and lo and behold, across my FYP came a video from Good Trouble, where he absolutely dog-walked a motherfucker who is the human embodiment of this. So if you haven't seen his full video, go watch it. But I'm going to give you a short little clip of it and show you what I've been talking about.
Why aren't young people getting married? It's actually because the women are all jihadi communist supporters. You know, when Nick Fuentes went on Tucker Carlson and he told him that the reason young people aren't getting married is because of the women, how are you supposed to wife this up, bro? These people would rather vote for a jihadi communist than give like a moderate white man and like a modicum of control over their life.
This is what
You see the bullshit we got to put up with. You see the goofy side that we got to put up with. This is the goofy side that people are starting to say, we don't want to put up with this goofy shit. This is why people are saying they don't want to put up with this goofy shit anymore. Because you got people on here saying this kind of shit. Let's change up. Let's go.
Republican weaknesses leading into 2026. What do Republicans need to do to reverse the results of this week politically? We will also be getting to Sydney Sweeney in that amazing interview that she recently did. And we will also be getting to the government shutdown. Will it continue? When will it end? First, Friendly Fire returns Wednesday night, November 19th at 7 p.m. Eastern on Daily Wire Plus. What exactly is Friendly Fire? Well, we are glad you asked. It's the show where Matt Walsh, Michael Knowles, Andrew Klavan, and I get together to disagree for the entire internet to watch and comment on in real time. This time, we're world premiering the official trailer for the Pendragon cycle, The Rise of the Merlin. You've seen the teaser. Now get ready for the trailer that's going to blow you away. It's all happening on Friendly Fire Wednesday, November 19th at 7 p.m. Eastern on Daily Wire Plus. Well, folks, there are some lessons that must be learned by Republicans from the elections of this week. The reality is, as I talked about a couple of days ago, the elections this week weren't just obviously in Virginia or in New Jersey or in New York City. Actually, Republicans did pretty poorly across the board. There's a point being made by Matt Continetti, now of the Wall Street Journal. He says the off-year Democratic wave flooded Republican safe harbors. Democrats flipped at least 13 seats in Virginia's House of Delegates. They plan to use their governing trifecta, control of the governor's mansion and both legislative chambers, to redraw the state's congressional map in their own favor. New Jersey Democrats now enjoy their largest assembly majority in 52 years. Georgia Democrats won 2 seats on the Public Service Commission. That's the state's utility board. No Democrat has won even a single race there since 2007. So that is 18 years ago. One of the reasons for that is because the electricity prices have been spiking and have continued to kind of softly go up during President Trump's term. This obviously should be a warning sign for Republicans. And when you look at the 2026 election, the importance of Republicans retaining the House. The Senate, it looks like Republicans are in fairly decent shape to retain. In order for Democrats to actually take the Senate in the next election cycle, they would have to flip a rather unlikely seat, like, say, Iowa. But in Congress, where Republicans basically have zero margin at this point, Democrats do not need to flip very many seats in order to take the House. So there are approximately, according to Cook Political Report, 16 toss-up seats. Okay, those toss-up seats, right now, 10 of those are held by Republicans. So that's not great for Republicans. When you look at another 8 that lean Republican and 10 that lean Democrat, you're talking about kind of a total possible variance of 34 seats. Now, Republicans would have to do really, really poorly to lose all of those. But again, they don't have to lose many of those to lose control of the House. If they lose control of the House, all you're going to get all day long are hearings and investigations and impeachments. And we know that all of this is the case. And we also know that it wouldn't solely be due to anything that President Trump is doing. Midterm elections almost always go the direction of the party that is out of power. Since World War II, according to Newsweek, the president's party has lost an average of 26 House seats and 3 to 4 Senate seats in midterms. When the president's approval rating is below 50%, the losses tend to be more severe. Presidents with a sub 50% job approval have seen their parties lose an average of 37 House seats, as opposed to when the president is popular, where they lose about 14 seats on average. So again, Republican enthusiasm seems to not be nearly as high as it is when President Trump is on the ballot, obviously. And a sinking economy, or at least an economy that doesn't feel as though it is soaring, is having a significant downstream impact. There are audiences that President Trump brought in who are beginning to move against President Trump. One of those is Latino audiences, Latino voters, which went very heavily toward President Trump in the last election cycle, seem to be bleeding away. In New Jersey and in Virginia, Latinos backed the Democrats by huge margins. According to the Washington Post, exit polls showed Democrats regaining strength with Latinos. That's not because Democrats are doing an extraordinary job. It's because presumably there has been so much focus on the immigration crackdowns. It's one thing to shut the border. It's another thing if there's stuff all over your TV about Abuela being taken out and then deported. Now, again, I think that all of that media coverage has been pretty terrible, overblown, inaccurate. But just speaking politically, obviously, this is not redounding to the benefit of Republicans among Latinos, at the very least. But the real issue here is the economy. And we all know that the real issue here is the economy. Every exit poll from this week, every single one, said the economy was the number one issue. And the reality is that our economy is on some shaky footing. Not only because of the continued government shutdown, which will end, but because of a generalized feeling that the economic growth that we are currently seeing is not a broad-based economic growth. That when we are looking at the stock market, for example, the vast majority of stock market gains, nearly all of them, in fact, have accrued to the top 7 companies in the market, all of which seem to be focused on tech and AI. Industries where jobs are being created, but not industries where the vast majority of people are holding jobs. They're not really service industries, which is where the vast bulk of American jobs are. The tech industry is really important, but if it's the entirety of your economic growth, you got a bit of a problem. And the reason that that is happening is because investors don't know where to put their money. That is due to tariffs. It is due to bizarre regulations. It is due to a generalized feeling of too much government involvement in private industry. It turns out the more the government is involved in the economy, the more investors are likely to try and discern where the government hand is likely to come down next and then place their money there. And that is a major problem. This is something that Republicans very much should be considering as they head into the next year. So, for example, there haven't been any Bureau of Labor Statistics data put out about job loss over the course of the last couple of months, but there are some private services that actually do put out numbers. ADP, a payroll processing firm, according to the New York Times, reported that employment at private companies fell in September but rebounded modestly in October. An alternative measure from Revelio Labs, a labor market data firm, showed the opposite. Data from LinkedIn, Bank of America, and other sources paint a similarly mixed picture. The bottom line is that the trend line seems to be going down when it comes to private sector employment. It hasn't changed dramatically since the summer. Employers are apparently not adding many jobs, but they've avoided resorting to widespread layoffs. So again, everybody's sort of holding steady, which is why it does feel as though the economy is on the edge. We've already seen that some major companies are planning mass layoffs. That'd be Amazon, UPS, IBM. Altogether, according to the New York Times, companies announced more than 150,000 job cuts in October, nearly triple the number in the same month a year earlier. Now, again, maybe that's wrong. Maybe the data come in and it turns out that things are going fine. But what the polls are showing is that people are deeply worried about the state of the economy. And earlier this week, and really since the beginning of this week, there's been a relatively significant decline in the Dow Jones Industrial Average. There's a rather large sell-off on Tuesday. One of the things that's been happening in the market is because nobody knows where to put their money. They don't know how to invest in industries. Typically, if you're going to buy a stock, instead of thinking of stocks as though you're at the casino, you're supposed to buy a piece of a company that you like because you think it's a good company and it is likely to succeed into the future. That is not the way a lot of people are treating the stock market right now. They're treating the stock market the way they're treating crypto. If you're going to buy crypto, you should buy crypto as a hedge against inflation, for example, which is why I myself own some Bitcoin and some Ethereum, but nothing else. If you're treating crypto as a get-rich-quick scheme, if you're treating the stock market as a way of making a quick buck, that is not a solid way to treat your stock trading, your stock portfolio. Just a general piece of financial advice. But that is how people are treating things right now because people are looking around, things are more expensive. All of the inflationary money blown in during the last days of the Trump administration and then the entirety of the Biden administration is still in people's pockets. They don't know what to do with it. Now the Federal Reserve is lowering those interest rates again in an attempt to create more liquidity, which, again, I've always found this strange. We do not have a dearth of liquidity in the United States right now. We don't. We have a dearth of opportunities for where to put the liquidity because nobody knows what to do next.
Y'all hit the like button, subscribe button, share button. Do all those good things, please and thank you. Do all those good things, please and thank you. Let me play this one last clip.
Midterms and we lose 2028. Some in this room are going to prison, myself included.
I'm going to keep playing that. I'm going to keep playing that video till y'all, it gets in the maggot's head.
We lose the midterms and we lose 2028. Some in this room are going to prison, myself included.
Why are they going to go to prison? They're going to go to prison because they know that what this president, people have done in the name of this president have been illegal acts. That's how they know that they're going to go to prison. Let me play it one more time for the goofies.
We lose the midterms and we lose 2028. Some in this room are going to prison, myself included.
This is one of the top MAGA operatives. He's saying to you, we did some illegal shit. So therefore we're going to prison. Which is what most people know, but they let it go because they figured the president did it and he was immune. Now they're going to start looking at the people that executed his orders. They're going to start looking at the people who executed this president's order. You do know the president has immunity for the things he does inside when he is a president. But these people who work for him don't have immunity. That's what he's saying. You don't have immunity. The president has immunity. You don't have immunity. You work for the president and you did these things. That means you're going to jail. You're going to prison. And there's nothing that president is going to be able to do about it. You're going to prison at the end of this president's term. And Lord forbid that something happens to this president in the middle of his presidency. You're really going to be shit. You're really going to shit your pants if you work for him then. If you're working for him now. I would, you know what I would do? I would go into the president's office right now and tell him to write me out a letter, a documented letter that says everything, every service that I perform for you is not illegal, and you absolve me of illegal activities right now, here and now. I would get a letter from the president right now, making sure, because you never know when he finna croak. You don't know when he finna croak. He's old enough where he might croak now, so I would make sure that I got a letter saying, "Hey, President, HQ is absolved of any illegal activity, X, Y, and Z." If I was them, that's what I would do. I would make sure I'd have that letter on me every time I walk out the door after he gave it to me. Because these people don't have immunity. This is just laughable. This woman really believes. What do you mean? I believe what? What do I believe? What do I believe? I don't believe anything, Paul Parmy. Your MAGA guy said it. Let me play it for you, Goofy Paul. Let me play it for you, Goofy Paul. What does he mean?
We lose the midterms and we lose 2028. Some in this room are going to prison, myself included.
So he's unhinged, and so am I. So a lot of us are unhinged. So am I. This is one of your leading MAGA dudes. One of your leading MAGA dudes that's saying we're going to go to prison once we lose all of these elections. And that's my whole point. My whole point is I would go into the president's office right now and say, "Hey, Donald Trump, I'm HQ. Can you write me out some kind of EO or something exact? You write me something out that says I'm absolved of any kind of wrongdoing. I'm absolved from going to prison. Can you write that out for me? So that, I will be free to do whatever you want me to do if I was uncouth and unhinged and unmanageable. Yes, this is what I would do. I would go in there and say, "Hey, I need you to write me something out, and I'm going to do everything you want me to do, even if it's illegal. I need you to write me out and absolve me from doing that." But most of these people don't have that kind of paperwork. Most of these people don't have that kind of paperwork. I'm saying that's what I would do, right? Because what happened? Because if he's gone, if he done croaked, If the president croaks, you ain't got nothing to save you, do you? You ain't got nothing saying. You ain't no president. You don't have immunity. I just work for the president. Well, you carried out illegal acts for the president. Oh, shit. Hell no. Before he croak, I'd get that paperwork. I'd have that paperwork. I'd have it dried up on my ceiling somewhere. Make sure it don't never get wet. Put it in some kind of banking vault. Shit, this is my get out of free card. That's my whole point exactly. My whole point exactly. Vance might let them all drown. Vance might let them just go down the tubes without doing anything. That's why I would make sure I have my own paperwork. Please, Mr. President, can you absolve me of everything before it happens? I need a signature on this pen. I need a signature on this piece of paper. Please and thank you. That's wild. Because you don't have immunity. The president does. And if the president croaks, which I believe, I don't want to say it, but I'm saying he is 80-some years old. He is 80-some years old. And you might not make it to the end of your term. If you don't make it to the end of the term, I have this paperwork that has me absolved from any wrongdoing right here. Right in this. That's just what I would do. I mean, I don't know what any other knuckle. See, I'm thinking two, 3 steps ahead. Shit, maybe you ain't gonna get me caught up in these crimes. Hey, every person that works for the president the last time went to jail or got a sentence. Y'all do know that, right? Y'all do know that, right? Y'all do know that, right? That most of the people that work for the president the last term that was working for him when he got out of jail, when he got out of being a president, they got sentences and shit like that. Y'all do know that, right? So no, you don't need me to tell you, Paul Parmy. That's why you goofy, because you should be doing your own research. You should have been done did your own research. You should be doing your research now. You should be doing your research now and finding out what happened to the people that worked in his administration the last time. You should be doing research now. You shouldn't believe nothing I say. You should just hear what I say and say, okay, she lying. Let me go research it. I'm going to go research it. Instead of saying she lying, go research it. Don't believe me. Just goofy for no reason. I ain't the be all and end all. I'm just telling you my truth. You're supposed to look up and find your own truth. And the truth is, a lot of those people had sentences. Goofy for no reason. Just talking for no reason. Hold on. What did you just say? What did you just say? What did you just say, Paul? What? What did you just say? The only reason they went to jail was by justice? It's got lawful, huh? You don't know what you're talking about. The only reason they went to jail was by justice? By justice what? What are you talking about? I just told you. I don't know why they went. I know they went to jail because of things they did in the White House. I don't know why. It's up to you to research why. It's up to you to research any of that stuff. Don't look for me to come do your research. Do your own damn research. I'm just a libetard. You can't believe a libetard, but you cannot dispute facts that are already history. You can't dispute facts. Go look it up. Jesus. Well, we're not gonna do all that. Here's the thing. We got to start doing our own research. This administration has corrupt people in it. They have corrupt people who do corrupt things. We have a president who does corrupt things. That's why it's very important for people to do research. Figure things out. Research what you need to research. Do things that you need to do in order to protect yourself, insulate yourself. This administration has none of your goodness. He's not thinking of your goodwill. That's all I'm saying. He's not thinking of your goodwill. Okay? So do your research. This president is giving every taxpayer $2,000. What? Wow. I can't fight the goofiness. I can't fight that. You all hit the like and the share button, subscribe button, please and thank you. I will be back later around 8 o'clock. We're going to have a lighthearted letters to my wife, letters to my marriage. We're going to do all that. You all hit the like and the share button, subscribe button. We'll be back Monday night doing political content. We'll be back Monday night doing political content. I appreciate all of y'all showing up. I appreciate you. I do. Hello from Wakanda. Hey, Jeb coming. HQ racist. You wild.